Chunzhe had thought he would need to do a lot of talking, never expecting the other party to agree so readily. But then he reconsidered. In such a chaotic world, who would turn down such a safe shelter? All right, if that's settled, go pack your belongings, Chunzhe said. Wang Yalan lived in an ordinary flat with mediocre talents. She had little value to exploit for the time being. So Chunzhe decided she should abandon her old place entirely. Oh, and take these 2 backpacks too. They'll save you tons of trouble. Okay. Wang Yalan had already witnessed the wonders of F-tier backpacks before. She reached out to take them, but the sudden sharp movement tugged at her wound, making her furrow her delicate brows in pain. Chunzhe saw this, but said nothing. If she could not endure even this small ache in this foreign world, she would be nothing more than a decorative ornament. Even inside his blockhouse, Chunzhe had no wish to keep someone around who could only hold him back. After telling her where the animal traps by the gate were placed, Wang Yalan left to pack her things. Chunzhe grabbed some food at random and opened the regional chat channel, hoping to dig up useful information. Little Driller patrols the hills. Guys, anyone know where to get all the materials needed to upgrade a fortress? Coconut Juice Lover. Bro, you're already planning a fortress upgrade? Respect. Manager Gao from AAA Building Materials. Fellow survivors, hit me up if you need fortress upgrade materials. Only 10 survival coins per unit. Fair pricing, no rip-offs for anyone. Sovereign who dominates eternity. 10 survival coins per unit? 100 units of each of the 3 materials would add up to over 3,000 survival coins total. Dude, you might as well rob us outright. Tianba Lin Shu. Shyster, absolute shyster. Nobody buy his stuff. Let him sit on that inventory forever. Reading these messages, Chunzhe frowned faintly. Manager Gao must have ventured out early that morning to gather a massive stock of upgrade materials, giving him the confidence to run this trade. He could have raked in a fortune himself, but those 3 foolish men had gotten in his way. It seemed he had missed the first big chance to amass wealth. Lost and confused. Does anyone know where he even got all those materials? Heaven descends upon the world. Stone, lumber, and steel can all be looted from ruined fortresses that have been overrun. Chunzhe recognized the username Heaven Descends Upon the World. This was the same person who'd warned survivors to slay zombies the previous day. Buffed full gear buffalo. Damn it, that explains why I saw a few guys sneaking around the ruins this morning. They were hoarding materials. Ugh, I feel like I lost a fortune. Too real a kiss. Big Shot Heaven Descends is the real expert here. That gal from building materials is just a crook trying to swindle our survival coins with scavenged junk. Disgraceful. The entire chat channel erupted into denunciations of Manager Gao from AAA Building Materials. At first, Gao tried to defend himself, yet he quickly crumbled under the flood of accusations and fell silent, thoroughly embarrassed. Heaven descends upon the world. There's no need to rush fortress upgrades right now. Our top priority should be boosting combat power. I also suggest several households band together for joint defense. It's far easier to survive as a group. Chunzhe had to admit the man made valid points. There was strength in numbers. Unified defense was far superior to struggling alone. Yet Chunzhe knew full well the countless risks that came with alliances. Hearts were hidden behind skin. Who could guarantee partners would not turn on each other for profit? In this apocalypse, trust was the rarest luxury of all. Deciding to stop lurking in the chat, Chunzhe chose to share his observations. For they were all fellow citizens of Dragon Country. Li Yunlong from Magic City. Has anyone noticed that different fortresses face different numbers of zombie attackers? My guess is it links to a fortress's total rating. His message brought the scrolling chat to an abrupt halt for a split second before messages flooded in even faster. Genius brain. You're totally right. That tracks. Only Zuanheman cigarettes. My fortress is F-rated, and 20 zombies attacked last night. Teddy Gummy Bear. Mine's E-rated. Over 30 zombies showed up. Survivors began sharing their experiences non-stop in the channel. After reading through the threads carefully, Chunzhe found the pattern matched his own hypothesis. Generally speaking, F-tier fortresses faced roughly 20 zombies, E-tier 30, D-tier 50. He had yet to spot anyone with a C-rated fortress. Chunze's own fortress had been ranked C-tier the day before. Though he'd unlocked the Tycoon's armor talent, its tier had not risen. He suspected the armor's stat bonuses had not yet stacked, failing to grant tangible improvements to the fortress. Seeing the channel devolve into chaos, Chunzhe closed it. He opened the trade channel and confirmed players were selling upgrade materials. Yet the prices here were even more outrageous. Even basic lumber sold for around 12 survival coins per unit, with costs only set to climb. Chunzhe wanted to buy supplies. Fortress upgrades were unavoidable, but he only had 60 survival coins left, barely enough for a handful of units. Sigh. Yesterday I felt like a millionaire. Today I'm flat broke. Chunzhe shook his head helplessly and kept browsing trade listings. Suddenly, a tiny, easy-to-overlook posting caught his eye. For sale, F-tier lettuce seeds. Item description. Consuming a fully mature F-tier lettuce permanently raises all base stats by 1 point. One-time effect only. Restriction. F-tier lettuce can only grow in F-tier or higher planting crates. It will not germinate otherwise. What perfect timing. Chunzhe happened to own an F-tier planting crate. He'd originally planned to stock up on ordinary crops, but now he'd found high-grade seeds instead. I'm buying this, no questions asked. Chunzhe sent a private message straight to the seller. Li Yunlong from Magic City. Buddy, how much are you asking for these lettuce seeds? Manager Gao from AAA Building Materials, 100 survival coins. Chunzhe was stunned to find the seller was none other than the man the whole channel had just condemned, and he'd named an exorbitant price. Li Yunlong from Magic City. Manager Gao, that price is ridiculous. 100 survival coins could get me an emergency repair kit. Chunzhe hated haggling, but with only 60 coins to his name, he had no choice but to try bargaining. Manager Gao from AAA Building Materials. Ridiculous? Do you know how fast F-tier lettuce grows? Just 7 days flat. I wouldn't even be selling them if I'd found an F-tier planting crate myself. 100 coins, take it or leave it. Gao was clearly still furious from the earlier public backlash and spoke sharply. He'd grown tired of endless price inquiries from people with no intention of buying. Far from angering Chunzhe, Gao's message filled him with excitement. 7 days to mature? Planted in my F-tier crate. It'll ripen in just 3 days. Once I harvest, I'll get more seeds to replant, an endless supply. I'm buying it, no matter what I have to trade. Chunzhe glanced around to tally his current stockpile. For Type 38 rifles, 1 Type 92 infantry cannon, an E-tier water purifier, an F-tier Tang Dao, 1 F-tier planting crate, 5 animal traps, plus miscellaneous food rations. He hesitated, unwilling to part with any of his weapons or gear, then settled on his E-tier purified water. This doesn't quite add up to a full liter. After a moment's hesitation, Chunzhe poured out all the leftover water he'd drunk earlier. He topped the container off with fresh water from the purifier and scraped together exactly 1 liter. Li Yunlong from Magic City. Manager Gao, take a look at this. Attached item screenshot. He sent the message, but received no reply for 5 full minutes, as if his offer had vanished into thin water. Finally, a response popped up. Manager Gao from AAA Building Materials. Whoa, buddy, you want to trade this E-tier purified water for the seeds? Deal absolutely. As Chunzhe predicted, Gao agreed to the swap without hesitation. It made perfect sense. Seeds alone were worthless without a matching planting crate. E-tier purified water that directly boosted all stats held far greater immediate appeal. Chunzhe finalized the trade instantly and sent Gao a friend request. Manager Gao from AAA Building Materials. Buddy, you got any more of this E-tier water? Sell it to me. I'll pay a premium of 120 survival coins per liter. 120 coins per liter was an excellent rate for the current stage, yet Chunzhe declined to sell his stock for now. E-tier purified water not only boosted attributes, but also acted as makeshift healing salve. He needed to reserve a stock for unexpected emergencies. This trade also made Chunzhe realize the rarest high-tier goods would rarely change hands for survival coins. Barter trades would become far more common. Li Yunlong from Magic City. Manager Gao, I don't have any more on hand right now. I'll hit you up if I find more later. Manager Gao from AAA Building Materials. Sounds good, pal. If you ever offload any high-grade items, come to me first. Fair trades. The man thousands had just called a greedy crook? Chunzhe closed the system interface and buried the lettuce seeds in his planting crate. Just then, Wang Yalan returned. Her 2 backpacks were stuffed to bursting, and every pocket of her jacket bulged with belongings. Chunzhe glanced over briefly. This woman truly knew how to set up a home. She'd brought every pot, pan, bowl, and seasoning bottle, hauled along plenty of furniture and appliances, and even 3 plush stuffed toys. Noticing Chunzhe's stunned expression, Wang Yalan grew embarrassed. Did I pack too much? Chunzhe scratched his head. It's all here now, so we'll make do with it. He paused, then added firmly. You'll stay on the 2nd floor. I'm on the 3rd. You are forbidden from stepping foot on the 4th floor without my permission. Nearly all of Chunzhe's critical supplies were stored on the 4th floor. Though Wang Yalan had once taken a blade wound to shield him, he could not drop his guard. Understood, Mr. Chun. Wang Yalan nodded hastily. The sharp movement dislodged something from her jacket pocket, which clattered to the ground. Chunzhe glanced down instinctively and spotted a small square pink box, with faint words reading, ultra thin, printed across its surface. Ah! Wang Yalan let out a startled cry. All pain in her shoulder vanished in an instant as she dove forward at lightning speed to snatch the box, clamping it tight in her hands. This is makeup. Don't get the wrong idea. Makeup? What kind of cosmetic product came labeled ultra thin? The old saying held true. Men never appreciate married women until they grow older, wasting their youth chasing young girls instead. Married women were far more sensible. Chunzhe bit back a laugh. Sure, whatever you say. While the two chatted lightly, Yang Wei wallowed in misery elsewhere. Ever since Chunzhe had seized his fortress core that morning, he'd wandered aimlessly through this alien world. When he spotted the abandoned, overrun fortresses scattered across the landscape, his eyes lit up. Stone, lumber, steel, these are all materials for fortress upgrades. Once I sell this haul, I'm buying an excavator to tear that idiot Chunzhe's blockhouse down. Yang Wei cursed under his breath while working non-stop, stashing all 3 types of material into his system's temporary storage space. The system grants a 5-slot temporary storage for initial item storage and trading. Perhaps because he'd ventured out so early, or pure dumb luck, he looted the wreckage of 5 ruined fortresses without encountering a single rival survivor trying to steal his materials. Haha, Full Chunzhe, you'd never dream stealing my fortress core would land me such a mountain of treasure. Over the course of an hour, Yang Wei's stock of each material had surpassed 50 units. At this rate, he would soon meet the requirements for a fortress upgrade. All mine, every last bit of it. Carried away by triumph, Yang Wei raised his voice, completely oblivious to the large steel factory building a short distance away. The factory spanned over 200 square meters, housing more than 20 survivors inside. Manager Gua, what's that racket outside? Sounds like someone laughing. The speaker was Lei Daong, head security guard of Jinxiu Longwan residential compound. After their failed attempt to seize Chunzhe's blockhouse the previous day, the group had occupied this factory. The rest of the survivors had been rounded up from their homes by Guo Changzheng. Thanks to their numerical advantage, they had fended off the zombie horde overnight without casualties, earning Guo praise for his leadership. Manager Guo had been resting on a well-worn lounge chair when he heard the commotion. He stood immediately and peered out the factory window. Huh, isn't that old Yang Wei? What's he up to? Guo Changzheng furrowed his brows in confusion. Yang Wei walked toward a floating white light orb with a grin. He was unaware that over a dozen pairs of eyes inside the factory were fixed intently on him. Is that a reward from killing zombies? Red Sister asked, her loud voice carrying to everyone present. Their group had slain over 30 zombies the night before, yielding only 3 light orbs containing 1 basic survival ration pack and 2 F-tier crossbows. Guo Changzheng's eyes widened sharply at her words. Though middle-aged, he played online games like Legend, and instantly grasped what the orbs contained. They must be materials dropped by overrun fortresses. Everyone, follow me outside to take a look. The mob surged out of the factory as one, spotting Yang Wei mid-laugh at once. Yang Wei spun around at the sound of footsteps and stumbled backward in shock. Shit, where did all of you come from? He stared in terror at the ravenous crowd charging toward him, his heart sinking. They were definitely here to steal his materials. There was no other explanation. Yang Wei, why are you skulking around our fortress so early in the morning? Guo Changzheng stepped forward, narrow triangular eyes glinting with greed, a thin smile playing on his lips. Oh well. Caught off guard by the question, Yang Wei stumbled over his words. He dared not admit he'd spent hours scavenging materials all the way here. If he did, his hard-earned haul would be seized for certain. Manager Guo, you scared me half to death. Yang Wei feigned calm, his eyes darting as he hastily concocted an excuse. His face fell instantly, as if he were about to burst into tears. Manager Guo, you have to stand up for me. That bastard Chunzhe forced my wife away from me and stole my fortress core. A few fake crocodile tears rolled down his cheeks as he put on a pitiful, wronged act. Chunzhe, the young man in that blockhouse. That's monstrous. It's only the 2nd day of the apocalypse, and he's already assaulting women. Damn it. We had no weapons yesterday, so he ambushed us. Now we've got crossbows. We need to find a way to take him out. The crowd chattered wildly, completely diverted by Yang Wei's fabricated tale. Guo Changzheng swept a cold glance over the group, silently cursing their lack of sense. Yang Wei was clearly trying to distract them. Yet these fools ate up every lie. He held up a hand to quiet the mob and spoke slowly. Yang Wei, you claim Chunzhe stole your wife and your home, but this is the apocalypse. I'm merely a property manager. What power do I have to settle such disputes? Even law enforcement can barely look after themselves now. We only protect those who stand with us to survive. As for your troubles, Guo Changjing trailed off, folding his arms across his chest and staring coolly at Yang Wei, that faint, unreadable smile still lingering on his face. The crowd caught on instantly. Guo intended to force Yang Wei to beg to join their group, at which point all his scavenged materials would belong to them. Exactly. This is the end of the world. Why should we risk fighting Qinzhe for you? Lei Daong chimed in. We watched you collect piles of valuable goods just now. Hand them over. Once you're part of our crew, Manager Guo might help you. Red Sister stretched out her hand bluntly, making no effort to hide her greedy gaze. Burning with rage, Yang Wei silently cursed Red Sister and her entire family. They had seen him gathering materials all along. He suppressed his fury and forced a grin more wretched than weeping to face Guo Changjing. Haha, of course. He pulled out over a dozen stacks of materials from his storage. If you'll accept me and help kill that Qinzhe, take these materials as my joining gift. I hope you won't think it's too little. As he spoke, Yang Wei watched Guo Changjing's expression from the corner of his eye. Guo Changjing stared at the dozen stacks of materials, but made no move to take them, a half-smirk lingering on his face. Yet his mind raced, wondering how many more valuable supplies Yang Wei still had hidden away. Yang Wei, this greeting gift of yours to show some sincerity. But there are so many of us, this simply won't be enough. Yang Wei's heart sank, seething inwardly at Guo Changjing's insatiable greed. Before the apocalypse, this tiny property manager wasn't even worthy of shining his shoes. Now he dared to lord it over him as a blood-sucking leech. Though boiling with resentment, his face only stiffened for a split second before he plastered a fawning grin back on. Haha, Manager Guo, you've got an eye for valuables. If that's what you need, I'll hand everything over. With that, Yang Wei pulled out more than 24 different stacks of materials. Seeing this, Guo Changjing pressed him no further. What's mine stays mine. All his stockpiles would fall into Guo's hands sooner or later. He strode forward at once and clamped a firm hold on Yang Wei's wrist. Brother Yang Wei, don't stand on ceremony like this. From now on, we're family, standing side by side through everything this apocalypse throws at us. Fake warmth oozed from every inch of Guo Changjing's face as he squeezed Yang Wei's hand tight, his triangular eyes narrowing to thin slits. Listen up, everyone. Starting today, Yang Wei is one of our crew. We share every blessing and bear every hardship together. And as for Qinzhe, Guo Changjing paused, his triangular eyes narrowing slightly. Let him gloat a few more days. We'll settle old scores and new grudges soon. Over at Qinzhe's side, Achoo, who's bad-mouthing me behind my back. Qinzhe had no idea his two foes had allied like a pair of rats, hatching schemes as one from their factory base. Right then, he stood atop the bunker's watchtower, surveying the surrounding wasteland. Two blazing suns hung high in the sky, their heat warping the air. The ash-gray earth lay cracked and parched for miles around. Dozens of makeshift fortresses dotted the landscape sparsely. Every so often, figures darted between them. Survivors still clinging to faint hope, scavenging the wrecked shelters for usable materials, though their efforts were clearly futile. As Qinzhe watched, 3 or 4 separate groups trundled away with downcast shoulders, empty-handed from their searches. This hellish heat's even worse than yesterday. Qinzhe wiped sweat from his brow and pulled out his phone. Its battery was nearly dead. The screen read an outdoor temperature of 35 degrees Celsius. The numbers sounded mild, but this was an alien world with no electricity, meaning no air conditioners or fans anywhere. Even inside the tall watchtower, the air hung thick and stifling, let alone single-story buildings whose roofs baked directly under the sun. The Global Survivor chat channel had long erupted in furious complaints. Damn it! Scorching heat by day, ravenous zombies by night. How are we even supposed to survive? Guys, please, does anyone have ice cubes to trade? My 3-year-old kids passed out from the heat. Ice? The power cut the second we got transported here. My fridge is leaking all over the floor. There's not a single cube left. Quick, wipe your child down with a damp towel. It'll bring their temperature down. Anyone got extra water? I'm dying of heat. I'll beg someone to take me in. Mr. Chun, can you hear me? Wang Yalan's voice drifted up from the stairs below. What's the matter? Qinzhe had ordered Wang Yalan never to climb to the 4th floor without his permission, and she'd clearly remembered the rule. Mr. Chun, the power's been out far too long. Our fridge is thawing out. I've still got some ice cream I bought before all this. Would you like some? Wang Yalan lingered on the staircase, her back turned so she wouldn't glance up at the rooftop, afraid of irritating Qinzhe. Ice cream. A cold, creamy treat sounded perfect in this swelter. Chunze turned to head downstairs when a stark splash of vivid green far off in the distance caught his eye, a jarring contrast against the wasteland. Huh. Chunze let out a quiet exclamation, squinting hard toward the horizon. The distance was too great to make out clear details. The green patch flickered faintly in the haze. What on earth is that? A thought struck him. He pulled out his nearly dead phone, opened the camera, and cranked the zoom all the way to 20x. The screen's blurry view sent goosebumps racing all over his body instantly. That's a forest? Unwilling to trust his own eyes, Chunze called Wang Yalan up to confirm what he'd seen. She'd been waiting on the stairs and nearly dropped the ice cream when she saw him rushing down in a fluster. What's wrong, Mr. Chun? Before she could finish speaking, Chunze dragged her up to the top floor and held out the phone. Take a close look. Is that a stretch of woods over there? Wang Yalan followed his pointing finger to the blurry image on the screen. She narrowed her eyes, studying it for a long moment, shock spreading across her face. It really looks like a forest. But how is that possible? Every inch of land here's cracked dry from the apocalypse. Where did a whole forest spring from? It's really a forest, Chunze muttered under his breath. He had no clue what lay hidden within those trees. After lurking in the survivor chat all day, he'd never heard a single other survivor mention a place like this. The unknown always brought mortal danger, but also untapped opportunity. Chunze furrowed his brows, deep in thought. On the surface, he lacked for nothing, and he'd already obtained several tiered items. Yet no one knew how deep the rules of this fortress survival game ran. No one could predict how powerful zombies would grow, nor the special events the system had warned of, a sort of Damocles hanging constantly over his head. To stay alive, he needed to grow stronger fast, and this distant forest might be his chance. Having settled on his resolve, Chunze's gaze hardened with determination. I'm going. I have to check it out. Wang Yalan stared at him in shock. Mr. Chun, what are you saying? Go where? Chunze checked the time. 2 o'clock. Zombies wouldn't spawn for another 6 or 7 hours, more than enough time for a round trip. I'm heading for that forest to investigate. Panic flashed across Wang Yalan's face at once. Mr. Chun, have you lost your mind? Charging blindly into that forest is suicide. We know absolutely nothing about it. Who knows what horrifying, unknown creatures lurk inside? The unknown is where opportunity lives. To survive in this alien world, we have to stay one step ahead, stronger than every zombie out there. Chunze immediately began packing his gear, and Wang Yalan fell silent. This man stood worlds apart from her cowardly, faint-hearted ex-husband. In that moment, a strange sense of security washed over her. Like no trouble was insurmountable as long as he was there. For this trip, Chunze brought not only his Tang sword, but 4 fully loaded Type 38 rifles. Reloading the Type 38 was far too slow. If trouble struck, he'd never have time to swap ammo. He'd need spare firearms ready to go. Stay inside the watchtower, Chunze instructed Wang Yalan, nodding toward the spare Type 38 he'd left behind. If you spot any suspicious figures, don't hesitate, shoot on sight. Wang Yalan parted her lips, wanting to beg him to wait until tomorrow, but said nothing. She knew her words would fall on deaf ears. His mind was already made up. Please be careful, and come back soon. Got it. Chunze nodded, slinging his F-tier backpack over his shoulders. It held his weapons plus rations and bottled water. The second he stepped outside the bunker, searing heat crashed over him, sweat pouring from every pore. This terrible heat. No wonder zombies don't come out in daylight. They can't stand it either, I bet. Sucking on an ice pop, Chunze set off toward the forest. As the old saying goes, mountains look close, but wear out the horse that rides to them. The forest had seemed relatively near from the watchtower, yet walking there on foot proved a grueling, long journey. He trekked for over an hour without catching a single glimpse of trees, only endless ash-gray soil and scattered fortresses. 99% of the shelters were ordinary buildings, single-story homes, standalone villas, all mundane structures. A handful of fortresses were utterly bizarre, however. He passed an enormous green dumpster overturned on the ground, standing nearly 8 meters tall. Even more surreal floated high above, a fully intact hot air balloon. He clearly spotted a woman peeking cautiously out of the gondola, watching him. There's always someone luckier than you out there. Chunze had once thought his watchtower fortress was top tier, but clearly countless survivors had drawn far better starting shelters. Fortresses came in every shape imaginable. Some lucky soul's shelter might even surpass his own. Still, Chunze held confidence. His watchtower stemmed from an SSS tier talent. If he could gather more powerful talents, no rival could stand against him. All survivors he passed along the way remained fiercely wary. Most fled far from him the moment they spotted his figure. Only a tiny handful worked up the courage to approach, begging for scraps of food. Chunzhe knew well to never flaunt his supplies. Before they could speak, he drew his F-tier Tang sword, wearing a cold, unapproachable glare. Whether their pleas were genuine or a trap to rob him, all of them backed away instantly, daring not draw near again. He walked on until no more survivor fortresses lined his path. Glancing back, he could barely make out the balloon fortress hanging in the sky. 2 full hours had passed since he set off. Chunzhe pulled a bottle of mineral water from his pack, chugged most of it, and poured the rest over his head. A faint coolness washing over him. Where the hell is that forest? Was it just a mirage? Doubt crept into his mind. He resolved to walk another 30 minutes. If the forest still didn't appear, he'd turn back at once. Once night fell, without a fortress for shelter, zombies would tear him apart. Just then, he noticed the air growing thick and muggy, carrying a damp, rotting wood scent blowing toward him. He quickened his pace and scrambled up the hillside ahead, and the whole landscape opened up before his eyes. Staring at the almost surreal sight, Chunzhe could no longer contain his awe and gasped out loud. Holy hell! This is absolutely breathtaking. Chunzhe stood frozen, eyes wide, his breathing quickening wildly. The scene far exceeded every expectation he'd had. Beneath the hillside stretched a sea of deep, saturated green, like undiluted paint spread across the land. Colossal trees towered overhead, their canopies blotting out the sun. Each stood at least 100 meters tall, their thick trunks wide enough for a dozen people linking arms to encircle. Strange, ancient textures carved the tree bark, etched by untold years. Silky thread-like vines dangled from the branches, swaying gently in the breeze. This is the alien world's forest? Chunzhe's throat went dry, and he swallowed hard. His stunned reaction was understandable. Trees 100 meters tall rivaled skyscrapers back on Earth, and here they stretched on endlessly across this desolate wasteland. He'd visited Changbai Mountain on Earth before, marveling at its ancient towering pines as a masterpiece of nature. Yet next to these alien giants, Changbai's trees looked like tiny saplings. Everything here existed on an incomprehensible, impossible scale. Chunzhe stepped forward, eager to draw closer, only for a faint translucent light barrier to materialize directly in his path. The barrier acted as solid matter, shoving him forcefully backward. What the hell is this? Before Chunzhe could process what had happened, the familiar cold mechanical voice echoed inside his head. Warning, the zone ahead is a high-risk restricted area. Access unlocks in 1 day, 10 hours and 28 minutes. Forcing entry will result in an extremely high fatality rate for all survivors. Confirm entry. High-risk zone. Extremely high chance of death. Chunzhe hesitated, narrowing his eyes. He suddenly pictured old RPG games he'd played. Locked zones always meant extreme danger paired with extraordinary rewards, loot far superior to anything survivors could find in unlocked territory. If he got in before anyone else, the resources here would grant him an overwhelming edge in the apocalyptic struggle. He understood this better than anyone. The global fortress survival game had given him a second chance. He would never let anyone trample him again. Damn it. Death comes for us all eventually. I'm going in. He mentally selected confirm, and the light barrier dissolved instantly. A thick, damp air reeking of rot washed over his face. Gripping his Type 38 rifle tight, Chunzhe stepped forward without a second's delay. Dense underbrush lined the forest's edge, reaching up to his chest. He fought his way through, the tough twigs and leaves scraping against his body with constant rustling sounds. Chunzhe scanned his surroundings vigilantly, but the thick foliage blocked nearly all his line of sight. Suddenly, he remembered the mysterious animal hide he'd obtained from Fatty. It could detect humans and zombies. Would it pick up wild beasts too? How could I forget this lifesaver? He unfurled the hide, which functioned like a GPS. A 5-pointed star marking his own position sat dead center. Along the hide's edges, countless tiny glowing dots flickered to life, covering almost every inch of the border. Chunzhe's heart skipped a beat. The sheer number of dots meant countless hidden dangers surrounded him. The hide's detection radius spanned 1 kilometer, not far, yet not trivial. A large mutated beast could close that distance in mere seconds. Yet he'd barely reached the forest's perimeter. Turning tail empty-handed stoked bitter frustration. Gritting his teeth, Chunzhe changed course and pressed onward, hoping to circle around the cluster of threats ahead. He wove cautiously through the bushes, never taking his eyes off the animal hide in his hand. The swarming, glowing dots never faded, as if every hidden creature tracked his every movement. He felt as though trapped in a massive hunting ground, watched by countless unseen predators, forced to tread with infinite care every step of the way. As he walked, the underbrush thinned, and the colossal ancient trees loomed larger ahead. He'd finally reached the forest's inner depths. The giant trees pierced the sky like skyscrapers. Sunlight filtered through layered leaves, casting slanted golden light beams and dappled patterns across the forest floor. Chunzhe tilted his head upward. Fluttering rustles and wild animal cries echoed from the treetops. Countless forest creatures lurked hidden in the shadows. He had no way of knowing which beasts posed a lethal threat, so he clutched his rifle firmly, remaining on full alert. When Chunzhe stepped around an immensely thick ancient tree, a striking burst of vivid scarlet burst into his line of sight. It was a plant half a meter tall, its stalk as thick as a young child's arm, sturdy and rooted deep in damp humus soil. Twisted vines unfurled outward, heavy clusters of orange-red fruits hanging thick from every branch. Round, plump, dozens of fruits covered the entire vine, looking incredibly tempting. Are those tomatoes? Chunzhe's pupils blew wide, the question slipping out in a quiet murmur. The fruit's shape mirrored Earth's tomatoes perfectly, yet twice their normal size. Their skins glowed bright, translucent red, full and rounded, coated in a faint glossy sheen. No doubt about it, these were tiered mutated plants. Chunzhe glanced down at the animal hide and spotted a sharp spike in glowing yellow dots surrounding the patch. Some beast claimed this territory. His eyes narrowed, cold ruthlessness flickering across his face. Damn it. No matter what it is, these tomatoes are mine, and I'm taking them. Chunzhe inched forward little by little, barely shuffling his feet. After more than 10 minutes, his fingers finally brushed against the first ripe fruit. Instantly, the item's stats flooded his mind. E-grade tomato. Consumption permanently boosts all base attributes by 2 points, capped at 6 total bonus points. Holy hell. E-grade. Chunzhe's mind reeled in shock. He knew an E-grade durian fruit only granted 5 all-stat points. It took 10 full days to yield a small chunk of pulp. This E-grade tomato handed out 2 points in one bite alone. It was an overpowered treasure for this stage of survival. I'm picking every last one of them. His heart hammered wildly as his hands moved at lightning speed. He stuffed one E-grade tomato after another into his backpack. A vivid, terrifying thought crashed over him. He felt like a bank robber on the run, bloodthirsty hunters closing in on every side. He had to hurry every single second. One extra tomato meant more strength. A single second's delay could get him torn apart by beasts. Time stretched thin, the world around him blurring into haze. Only the bright red fruits hanging thick on the vines remained crystal clear to his eyes. Chunzhe's hands blurred with motion, swift and decisive. In mere moments, he stripped every heavy fruit from the vines. A quick count told him there were at least 20 to 30 tomatoes in total. Shoo shhh. A faint, grating rustle suddenly exploded loud enough to pierce his ears. Chunzhe's already frayed nerves snapped completely, every hair on his body standing on end. He jerked his head up to scan his surroundings, but the forest was far too dense. He couldn't spot a single thing hidden within the foliage. Caw, screech. A raucous flurry of bird cries cut through the silence right then. Flocks of massive, unknown birds beat their wings and fled in panic. Shit, what the hell is coming? He glanced down instinctively at the mysterious beast hide clutched in his palm. The swarm of faint yellow light points that had lingered along the edges had shrunk inward, to within 100 meters of him, packed so tight they made his scalp crawl. They advanced toward his position at a terrifying pace. Fuck, they're heading straight for me. Run. Chunzhe didn't hesitate for a split second, making his choice in an instant. Every single yellow dot marked a mutated beast. If they caught up, not even his bones would remain. Only an idiot would stand and fight. He tightened the straps of his backpack, securing the sack brimming with E-grade tomatoes firmly to his back. Gripping his Type 38 rifle in one hand, he pushed off hard and bolted straight for the forest's outer perimeter without a backward glance. Stealth no longer mattered. Heavy footsteps crunched over dry branches and rotting leaves, sharp cracks echoing through the trees. Wind howled through the woods, and the endless rustle of crawling creatures drew closer behind him with every heartbeat. Chunzhe squeezed the beast hide in his fist and stole a quick glance. The dense yellow danger markers surged forward like an unbroken tide, locked on his trail and closing the gap non-stop, covering every inch of ground behind him. What in God's name is chasing me? Chunzhe snarled, darting a panicked look over his shoulder. That single glance nearly sent him crashing face first into the dirt. 40 to 50 meters back, an endless mass of pitch-black creatures rolled forward like spilled ink, sweeping straight toward him. They were countless mutated ants. These insects dwarfed ordinary ants beyond recognition. The smallest ones were as big as his thumb, while the largest matched the size of a fist. Their jet-black carapaces glinted with cold metallic sheen, casting menacing highlights through the dappled forest light. Murky dark red compound eyes crowded their heads, radiating bloodthirsty ferocity that curdled his blood. 6 thick segmented legs churned furiously, carrying them forward at frightening speed. Jesus Christ! Chunzhe yelped, nearly dropping his Type 38 rifle. This unending tide of mutated ants stretched as far as the eye could see. Even a full-grown elephant that stumbled into the swarm would be stripped clean in minutes, nothing left but bare bone. He knew his own limits well. Though his 3 core stats had been enhanced, making his physique far tougher than average survivors. He hadn't even reached E-grade himself. A single soldier ant from this horde wielded deadly mandibles, let alone thousands upon thousands of fearless, charging ants. Stand and fight? That was suicide plain and simple. No wonder the system marked this zone a high-risk area. A harsh, acrid stench of formic acid washed over him on the wind, burning his throat raw. The ground trembled beneath his feet. Black ants scuttled up tree trunks, through grass, and over jagged stones, cutting off every escape route to his left and right. Swarms of winged flying ants took flight overhead, circling to block his path. They were about to surround him entirely. Terror flooded Chunzhe's veins. He held nothing back, pouring every ounce of strength into his legs to boost his sprinting speed even further. The beast hide's entire rear section blazed yellow, the ant horde clinging to his scent like a malignant parasite, closing in step by step. The rustling crawl grew deafening. The vanguard of giant soldier ants stood less than 30 meters behind him. Don't stop. Don't look back. Just run. His only shot at survival lay past this ancient thicket beyond the glowing barrier wall. The barrier? Where's the damn barrier wall? Come on. Chunzhe gritted his teeth, ignoring the searing burn in his lungs and throbbing ache in his thighs as he raced madly for the forest boundary. Thick underbrush scraped his arms and cheeks nonstop, sharp twigs tearing his clothes open to leave stinging, bleeding gashes. But he had no bandwidth to care. The endless skitter of the ant swarm wrapped around him like the whisper of death itself, hot on his heels. 30 meters, 20 meters, 15 meters. Just as despair crashed over him and his legs threatened to give out completely, he caught a faint shimmer up ahead. The air rippled and warped, a pale glowing white barrier shimmering faintly, sealing off the violent monster aura trapped within the woods. The barrier. I found the barrier. Crushing despair instantly melted into overwhelming euphoria. Chunzhe's eyes blazed, and his exhausted body summoned one last surge of brute strength. At that exact same moment, the rustling noise behind him exploded in volume. The largest soldier ants had caught up. Shit! Chunzhe roared, twisting sideways to level his rifle. Without hesitation, he squeezed the trigger of his Type 38. Bang! 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 Rapid gunshots boomed through the dense forest. Scorching bullets tore forward in a streak, striking the lead fist-sized soldier ants dead on. Their hard black exoskeletons shattered instantly, reeking dark green bodily fluid splattering everywhere. The hit ants crumpled motionless to the ground, but it was nothing more than a drop in the bucket. Giant ants behind them clambered over their fallen kin without pause, charging forward in a feral frenzy. Their jagged mandibles gnashed together, sending out sharp clicking sounds. Above, swarms of winged flying ants dove down in a black wave, filling every inch of airspace overhead to cut off his escape upward. 15 meters, 10 meters, 8 meters. Life and death hung by a thread. Chunzhe dared not linger to fight. After firing several rounds, he slung the rifle forward and sprinted for all he was worth. Ugh! All Chunzhe could hear was the frantic beating of flying ant wings, followed by a searing, piercing pain. He didn't need to guess. Flying ants were tearing into his flesh. Cold, sharp mandibles pierced his skin, and highly corrosive formic acid flooded straight into the wounds. A numb, burning agony raced through his bloodstream, making every muscle in his body spasm violently. At this split second, everything before Chunzhe's eyes blurred violently. The pale white barrier, mere feet away, suddenly expanded to fill his vision. The next second, he threw himself headlong through the glowing wall. A faint yet powerful repellent energy rippled outward. Every mutated flying ant and giant soldier ant behind him was flung away like black snowflakes, tumbling and scattering across the dirt. The endless black ant tide ground to an abrupt halt at the barrier's edge. They seethed and darted back and forth along the tree line, gnawing madly at grass, trees, and soil, letting out constant furious chitters. Their dark red compound eyes locked relentlessly onto Chunzhe inside the barrier, overflowing with rage and bitter frustration. But none dared touch the glowing white divide separating life from death. All strength drained out of Chunzhe in an instant. His legs buckled, and he stumbled to his knees, bracing his palms against the ground as he gasped for air. Huff, huff. Ragged, wheezing breaths echoed along the empty edge of the safe zone, sounding like a broken bellows pumping air. Every muscle in his body ached with numb exhaustion, his lungs burning as if he'd swallowed fire. Each inhale brought a tearing, agonizing sting. After 7 or 8 full minutes of heavy gasping, Chunzhe finally felt a little steadier. He glanced back, his heart hammering with lingering dread. Outside the barrier, the black mass of mutated ants still refused to leave, packed tight along the tree-line. He knew full well, if that glowing wall shattered for even a second, the swarm would surge forward and tear him to shreds without mercy. A cold chill ran down Chunzhe's spine. He tore his gaze away from the horrifying horde, unable to bear watching any longer. Damn it, I was reckless this time, nearly got myself killed. He muttered under his breath, slowly peeling off his shirt to examine the wounds covering his back. The moment he ripped the fabric free, a tiny black creature slid down the cloth and crashed heavily onto the dirt. Chunzhe froze stiff, snapping his head down to stare. It was the giant mutated flying ant that had clamped its jaws into the nape of his neck. Fuck me. He stumbled backward 2 paces in terror, his scalp prickling with cold dread. Shock widened his pupils, and his Type 38 rifle materialized in his hands at once. Pop, pop, pop. Before the insect could twitch a single limb, bullets tore through its body, milky white ichor splattering across the ground. The flying ant never moved once. Chunzhe realized with relief that the barrier's repellent energy had killed it the second he crossed through. He'd only wasted bullets shooting a corpse. Thank God. Chunzhe let out a long, shaky breath, his taut nerves finally unwinding. A wave of overwhelming weakness washed over his frame. The endless ant swarm had scarred him deeply. Now every tiny rustle or faint movement sent a shudder of terror through his bones. He glanced down at the mangled flying ant carcass on the ground and spotted a small black bead beside it, coated in sticky milky fluid. What's this? Chunzhe forced himself to his feet and picked up the bead. A system prompt immediately flashed across his mind, displaying the item's details. E-grade flying ant beast core item description. Contains immense latent energy, capable of aiding mutated beasts and human survivors in breaking through to higher evolutionary tiers. Ha ha ha. The second he read the description, Chunzhe burst into unrestrained laughter. All the fear and exhaustion weighing on him melted away, leaving only pure, blazing joy in his eyes. This narrow escape had been a gamble with death itself. Snatching nearly 30 E-grade tomatoes from the ant swarm was already an incredible windfall. Yet he'd accidentally slain a flying soldier ant and gained a genuine E-grade beast core as an extra reward. Tiered produce was rare, sure, but survivors could still hunt zombies for it. And some fortress talents generated tiered fruits as well. Beast cores, however, had 0 obtainable sources at this stage of the world. Their value far outstripped their grade classification. Chunzhe suspected this single beast core might be the only one in existence among all human survivors. With this E-grade beast core, once I max out my attribute cap, I'll break through my evolutionary shackles with 0 resistance and rank up to E-grade smoothly. He spoke the words, his gaze hardening as he stared through the glowing barrier at the ant horde beyond. When I level up, I'll slaughter every last one of you. After voicing his threat, Chunzhe decided against lingering to tangle with the insects any longer. He calmed his racing mind and carefully inspected his injuries, his frown deepening the more he saw. Countless small cuts and scrapes covered his body, but the worst damage lined his left shoulder. Deep, gaping gashes torn open by the flying ants, swollen and inflamed badly. Corrosive formic acid seeped deeper into his wounds non-stop, the numbing, burning agony spreading outward. Within minutes, his entire left arm grew stiff and sluggish, making it hard to even grip his rifle properly. He pulled a water canteen from his backpack and rinsed the wounds clean. Still uneasy, he sent a message to Wang Yalan, asking her to trade over some amoxicillin via the system marketplace. Ever since Chunzhe left the fortress, Wang Yalan had stayed holed up in the blockhouse, constantly watching the path he'd taken, terrified she'd miss his return. Her heart had hung heavy with worry the entire time, dreading the worst. When her system notification pinged, she opened it instantly. Panic surged through her when she read Chunzhe needed antibiotics. Her heart shot straight into her throat. Chunzei, what happened? Are you hurt? Tell me where you are. I'll come meet you. Her message shot over in a rush, every word thick with unhidden anxiety. It's nothing serious, just minor cuts. The antibiotics are just a precaution. Chunzei sent a brief reply, choosing not to detail his deadly encounter with the ant swarm in the woods. Dusk was fast approaching, and he needed to keep his message short. Getting back to the blockhouse before nightfall was his top priority. Thank goodness you're all right. Hurry back. I'll wait for you inside the blockhouse. Message me if you need anything else. Wang Yalan knew the wilderness grew exponentially more dangerous after dark. This was no time for drawn-out questions. She immediately pulled open the system trade panel and sent over all her remaining amoxicillin tablets, plus gauze and medical adhesive tape as extra supplies. Be extremely careful out there. Your safety comes first above all else. Warmth flickered in Chunzei's chest as he read her gentle, caring note. In this cruel, cold alien world, someone waited for him and cared about his well-being. The feeling was unexpectedly comforting. He popped one antibiotic pill into his mouth right away, yet the numbing paralysis from the formic acid in his shoulder didn't ease at all. In those few short minutes of delay, the toxin kept spreading. His left arm stiffened further, making holding his rifle cumbersome. Chunzei's expression darkened. He couldn't afford to waste another second. He dared not test just how potent the mutated ant venom was. If the acid spread further, the consequences would be catastrophic. He shot a cold glare at the ant swarm trapped behind the barrier wall. Just wait. I'll hunt every single one of you down eventually. He turned and set off toward the blockhouse. The journey normally took over 2 hours, but driven by desperation to return and crippled by his wounds, Chunzei covered the distance in only 90 minutes flat. Drained and racked with pain along the way, he pulled out 3 E-grade tomatoes and ate them quickly. They instantly replenished his depleted stamina, and a steady stream of gentle alien transformation energy flooded his body, tempering his flesh and bones. His 3 core attributes spiked once more, landing at 19/18/19, only a hair's breadth away from hitting the E-grade promotion threshold. This full-body stat boost and physical reinforcement finally suppressed the raging mutated formic acid circulating in his veins. The numb paralysis stopped spreading, contained firmly around the shoulder wounds, no longer worsening. Chunzei breathed a quiet sigh of relief, his lingering dread easing slightly. Looking back on his venture into the high-risk thicket, every second had been a dance on a knife's edge, his life hanging by a thread the entire time. He'd recklessly wandered into an ant nest territory, been hunted by tens of thousands of giant mutated ants, poisoned by flying ant bites, and fought tooth and nail to break through the glowing barrier at the last possible second. One misstep, one split-second delay anywhere along the way, and he would have ended up torn apart and devoured. A desperate sprint, a blood-soaked escape, every turn brought a dead end. Thankfully, he'd survived against all odds, and his rewards were absurdly generous. 28 full E-grade tomatoes, his 3 core stats nearly maxed out, plus a one-of-a-kind E-grade beast core clutched in his possession, the perfect resource to skip normal promotion limits. The sky dimmed steadily, the sweltering daytime heat fading away. The silhouette of the blockhouse grew clearer in the distance. He spotted a lone figure standing at the 3rd-floor observation window, Wang Yalan. Chunzei sent her a quick message. I can see the blockhouse. I'll be there in 5 minutes. Her reply arrived instantly. That's wonderful news. I'll flip on the searchlight right now, hurry home. Just reading her words painted a vivid mental picture for him. That lovely married woman would light up with joy the second the message popped up, hurrying to flip on the searchlight to light his final stretch home. No wonder so many men adore married women. Young girls would never go out of their way like this. A faint smile tugged at Chunzei's lips, and he quickened his pace even more. Click. The searchlight mounted atop the blockhouse flickered to life, slicing through the fading dusk. A harsh, blinding white beam swept slowly toward Chunzei's position. This system-manufactured searchlight boasted staggering brightness. Every pebble along the wall and blade of roadside weed stood crystal clear beneath its glow. Wang Yalan gripped the searchlight's control lever, her gaze locked onto the moving beam, filled with quiet relief. But when the beam swept across a single-story cottage a short distance away, her smile froze solid, and her pupils blew wide with shock. Hiding in the shadow behind the house lurked 3 or 4 hunched human figures. They crumpled low to the ground, blending seamlessly into the surrounding darkness. The searchlight beam glinted off the slick, oily scalp of one of the hidden men, casting a harsh flash of light back toward the window. Who else could that bald head belong to but Yang Wei? Wang Yalan's heart sank straight to the pit of her stomach. She'd stuck by Yang Wei for years. She knew exactly what kind of man he was, narrow-minded and vengeful to a fault. After Chen Zhe had seized the Bastion heart from him earlier, he must have been seething with hatred. Before she could sort through her thoughts, a terrifying realization crashed over her. Chen Zhe was heading this way, and this path was the only route back to the blockhouse. Yang Wei hadn't stumbled here by chance. He was lying in ambush for Chen Zhe. Danger! Wang Yalan's heart hammered wildly, cold sweat soaking her back in an instant. She knew all too well what a coward Yang Wei was. He bullied the weak and feared the strong on ordinary days. If he dared stage an ambush this time, he must have hidden backup, or there were far more than 3 or 4 men with him. Panicked, Wang Yalan abandoned sending messages. She threw herself against the blockhouse's observation window and screamed at the night below with every ounce of strength she had. Chen Zhe, it's a trap. Ambush. It's Yang Wei. Damn it. We've been spotted. That bitch Wang Yalan. Yang Wei snarled viciously, blue veins bulging on his forehead. He'd hidden so carefully, never expecting this traitorous woman to ruin everything. He jerked his head up to stare behind a low earthen mound a short distance away, panic flooding his gaze. Several figures stood silent in the mound's shadow, led by Guo Changzheng, the former property manager. Guo Changzheng glared furiously at Yang Wei, his suspicion laid bare, cold malice hardening his eyes. That stare was like a poison-tipped blade, stabbing straight into Yang Wei's core. Guo Changzheng suspected him. Yang Wei's heart skipped a beat, and he quickly lowered his voice. Manager Guo, it wasn't my fault. I never thought that slut would have a searchlight. Guo Changzheng said nothing in reply, only spoke in a deep, gruff tone. We've been made. No more hiding. As long as Chen Zhe hasn't holed up in that turtle shell, we've got dozens of men. What's one punk to us? One after another, more than a dozen figures stepped out of the shadows, including Sister Hong and Lei Daong. Right? Charge together, kill him, and seize his blockhouse. Lei Daong shouted, kneeling atop Yang Wei's roof with a black-hand crossbow. He aimed straight for Chen Zhe's position. You little rat. Once you're out of that shell, I'll riddle you full of bolts. Lei Daong's hiding spot had gone unnoticed until he opened his mouth. Wang Yalan spotted him instantly from the blockhouse. Without a second thought, she white-knuckled the searchlight lever and twisted it hard toward the voice. Click! A blinding pale beam swiveled sharply, shooting like an arrow straight for Yang Wei's rooftop. Bathed in harsh light, Lei Daong's hunched silhouette stood exposed with nowhere to hide. Down below, Chen Zhe's instinct snapped taut the second Wang Yalan shouted her warning. His 3 core stats had surged to nearly 20 points, granting him a far sharper danger intuition than ordinary people. The moment he heard ambush, he dropped low without hesitation. He threw himself sideways behind a crumbling wall. Whiz! His body barely cleared the ground when a crossbow bolt sliced through the air, grazing his shoulder before thudding into the spot he'd stood a split second prior. Shit! He dodged it. Lei Daong cursed, unaware he'd stoked Chen Zhe's unbridled rage. You're begging to die? Chen Zhe narrowed his eyes, frigid killing intent surging in his pupils like an enraged beast. His 19-point perception stat let him pinpoint exactly where the bolt had come from, and the searchlight's fixed glare left Lei Daong completely exposed on the roof. He didn't give the crossbowman time to reload. Gripping his Type 38 Arisaka rifle, he lined the barrel up perfectly with the hunched figure along the beam of pale light. Chen Zhe moved with lightning speed, working the bolt and firing in one fluid motion. Pop! 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 3 rounds tore through the night sky, screaming outward. Lei Daong had just knocked a second bolt to take another shot when the blinding searchlight blinded him. Before he could react, a hail of bullets tore into him. We're done for. The thought barely crossed his mind when a stream of bullets slammed into his body. Flesh and bone splintered everywhere. The force of the gunfire hurled Lei Daong backward violently. His F-grade hand crossbow slipped from his grasp, clattering against the tiles. He never got to finish a scream. His body rolled down the sloped roof and crashed heavily onto the cracked earth below. Yang Wei, Sister Hong, and the others froze on the spot, icy dread washing over them. They'd thought their numbers, plus 2 E-grade bows, guaranteed a successful sneak attack on Chen Zhe. But in a single exchange, their strongest fighter Lei Daong lay dead, without a single chance to fight back. Cold terror gnawed at every heart. Cold sweat dripped down their spines, and their muscles trembled uncontrollably. A bone-deep fear chilled them to the core. Daong's dead. He's a monster, someone shrieked, all their earlier bravado vanishing. They stumbled backward, ready to flee for their lives. Chen Zhe, we were all neighbors. Guo Changzheng forced us to come. Yeah, manager was fault alone. We surrender. We won't fight anymore. This mob were random stragglers Guo Changzheng had rounded up at the last minute. They'd only tagged along to scavenge supplies, never intending to risk their lives. Most had no idea how ruthless Chunzhe was, writing him off as just some lucky nobody. But watching Lei Daong get shot full of holes and thrown off the roof shattered every last shred of courage. Visions of seizing the blockhouse and looting treasure vanished completely. Survival was all that mattered now. In an instant, the once aggressive crowd fell apart. Some shrank back, others dropped steel pipes and iron rods to the ground, and more turned to run outright. Guo Changzheng's face turned livid with rage. He raised his E-grade crossbow and fired a wild bolt toward Chunzhe, barking orders. Don't panic. He only has an old bolt-action rifle. Charge him. If we close in, we could drown him with spit alone. The men knew his logic held merit, but Lei Daong's fresh corpse lay just a short distance away. The gruesome sight burned into every mind, their feet heavy as lead, refusing to move forward. Whoever charged first would catch a bullet for sure. Seeing no one advance, Guo Changzheng leveled his crossbow straight at Yang Wei. You lead the charge, or I'll kill you right now. Huh? In no way. Manager Guo. He's armed. I'll get killed. Yang Wei cowered like a quail, ducking his head lower, terrified a bullet would blow his bald skull apart. Guo Changzheng flew into a frenzy, kicking Yang Wei square in the rear and sending him stumbling out from behind cover. At that exact moment, pop! Another gunshot rang out. The shot missed, slamming into the ground 2 or 3 meters in front of Yang Wei, tearing a massive crater in the dirt. Spare me. Don't kill me. Yang Wei's soul fled his body. He stumbled and collapsed to the ground, a wet stain spreading rapidly across his trousers. The woman in the blockhouse has a gun too. A sharp-eyed man spotted the shooter hadn't been Chunzhe and shouted a warning. All faint resolve Guo Changzheng had stirred in them evaporated. 2 guns stood against them. How could they possibly win? Run! The single word broke the mob. They abandoned all pretense and bolted. Damn spineless cowards, Guo Changzheng roared. But their nerve was broken, and he had no choice but to find a way to escape himself. He hunched low, slipping toward cover to flee. Meanwhile, Chunzhe held his fire after killing Lei Daong. He had no way of knowing how many foes hid in the shadows, or what other weapons they carried. The night was pitch black, every corner of the ruins draped in shadow. Any dark crevice could hold someone waiting to loose a hidden bolt. But now these men sought to flee the second things turned sour. He'd show them no mercy. You came here for a fight. You'll leave something behind. Hospitality demanded reciprocity. These men had come to take his life. He would not let them escape unscathed today. Chunzhe moved. His nearly 20 points across all 3 stats lent him the agility of a phantom. He pushed off the ground, vaulting effortlessly onto the roof of a nearby building, rifle raised. Bang! The crisp crack of the Type 38 echoed out. One fleeing man crumpled to the ground, twitching once before falling still. Chunzhe was a reaper lurking in the dark, firing shot after shot with pinpoint accuracy at the scattering crowd. Every gunshot brought screams or panicked cries from his targets. Within moments, 5 or 6 men had been hit. They stared back in terror, wailing like slaughtered pigs. My leg. Manager Guo, help me. I don't want to die. Chunzhe, Sir Chun, I beg forgiveness. Guo Changzheng made us do it. Spare my worthless life. Guo Changzheng, may you rot in hell. Screams and curses tangled together in the chaos. The survivors didn't dare glance back, sprinting for all they were worth as if a soul-devouring fiend chased their heels. Darkness had fully settled by now. Though Wang Yalan swiveled the searchlight non-stop, survivor bastions dotted the surrounding ruins, cutting off Chunzhe's line of fire. Run all you like. Once I'm free, I'll storm every one of your bastions and see where you hide then. Chunzhe burned with genuine fury. He hated leeches who sought to steal others' achievements above all else. Back on Earth, he'd failed to protect his company. Here, he would never let anyone seize his blockhouse from him. Just as Chunzhe prepared to end his pursuit, a flash of reflected light caught the corner of his eye within the searchlight's sweep. He whipped his head around, locking onto the spot and shouting sharply. Yalan, aim the searchlight over there. On it. From her high vantage, Wang Yalan watched Guo Changzheng's group split apart and flee far into the distance. Still, she swiveled the beam straight where Chunzhe pointed without delay. The pale light pierced the darkness, illuminating the stretch of cracked earth. A small, unassuming dirt mound sat there, and the flash of light came from Yang Wei's shiny bald scalp. In his panic, Yang Wei had cooked up what he thought was a brilliant ploy: bury half his body underground, leaving only his head exposed, hoping the night would hide him. He never imagined his bare skull would glow bright under the searchlight. Unbelievable, isn't that Yang Wei? Chunzhe felt equal parts exasperated and amused by the absurd trick. He had no patience for talk. This whole mess had been orchestrated by Yang Wei and that old fox Guochangzheng. Guochangzheng had escaped, so he'd take Yang Wei's life as partial payment first. Click. He worked the bolt, ready to squeeze the trigger, when a gunshot went off first. Bang. The sharp report cut through the air, followed by Yang Wei's ear-splitting shriek. Wang Yalan had fired. This shot hit true, burying itself deep in Yang Wei's lower back. She'd aimed for his head, but her marksmanship left much to be desired. Mr. Chun, all of this is my fault. Let me kill this beast with my own hands, Wang Yalan said. Chunzhe nodded silently, saying nothing. He stepped closer to check Yang Wei's state. Foam mixed with blood bubbled from his mouth, the large caliber round from the Type 38 tearing a massive bleeding cavity in his waist. He wouldn't last long. You bitch, whore, Wang Yalan. Chunzhe, damn you both. I'll haunt you as a ghost. Chunzhe clicked his tongue. This cowardly man had spent his whole life groveling, yet found a shred of defiance in his final moments. He had no interest in torturing Yang Wei further. Drawing his F-grade Tang Dao, he sliced clean through the man's neck. The second Yang Wei died, several wispy white orbs materialized out of thin air before his body, startling Chunzhe. What's this? He studied the orbs closely, recognizing them as the same reward glows the system dropped after kills. He reached out and touched them. Ding. Detected. 33 units stone, 35 units timber, 22 units steel. Collect materials? The system's cold mechanical voice sounded sweeter than any melody to Chunzhe's ears. Collect them all. Ha. Yang Wei, you old fool, you're my lucky charm. First you handed me your wife. Now a mountain of upgrade materials. Chunzhe grinned wide, all the lingering frustration from the ambush melting away. He pieced it together instantly. Every survivor received a 5-slot trade storage space from the system. Upon death, all stored items spilled out into glowing orbs. Truly, blood and gold go hand in hand in this world. Chunzhe gathered all the materials excitedly, then searched each corpse he'd shot down one by one. Just as he suspected, faint white glows hovered over every body. Aside from one F-grade hand crossbow, he recovered over a dozen more batches of Bastion upgrade materials, likely scavenged and hidden by the men earlier that day. As for Bastion hearts, 6 men had died in total, yet only 2 carried Bastion hearts. They must have joined Guochangzheng's faction that very day, their personal bastions still intact from the zombie hordes. Both Bastion hearts bore common F-grade talents, worthless for absorption. After a moment's thought, Chunzhe listed them on the trade marketplace for 100 survival coins apiece. By the time he finished, Wang Yalan had urged him to return 3 times already. Mr. Chun, come back quickly. I swear I hear zombies closing in. Chunzhe's 3 core stats neared the 20-point threshold. His sight and hearing far surpassed human limits. He would have sensed incoming zombies long before she did. On my way. He smiled faintly and hurried back to the blockhouse. Mr. Chun, are you all right? The moment Chunzhe stepped inside the blockhouse, Wang Yalan rushed forward, gently taking hold of his arm, her face etched with unmasked worry. Warmth bloomed in Chunzhe's chest. It felt nice to have someone who cared for him. I'm fine, just a minor ant bite back in the woods. He stretched his arm to show her it no longer troubled him. An ant bite, Wang Yalan echoed, assuming an ant sting was trivial. But when she leaned in to examine the wound, she froze stiff. A gruesome gash the size of his thumb marred Chunzhe's left shoulder. The bitten area swelled violently, discolored an unnatural purple-blue, dark bruising spreading outward in an unsettling pattern. The sight made her stomach churn. All thoughts of a harmless little bite vanished. Wang Yalan's face paled, her heart constricting with panic. Her fingers trembled as she leaned closer, too afraid to touch the wound, her voice shaking with alarm. This is no ordinary ant bite. The wound is massive. We're trapped in this ruined wasteland with no hospitals. What are we going to do? She stared blankly at Chunzhe, who remained calm, tears welling in her eyes, ready to spill over at any second. Watching her distress, Chunzhe fought back an amused smirk, a stray thought crossing his mind. She'd faced her ex-husband without a flicker of fear earlier, bold and unflinching in the face of death. Now a simple animal bite had her on the verge of crying. Though the thought held a hint of mischief, he dared not tease her. He knew her concern was genuine, so he softened his tone to soothe her. Don't fret, I'm really unharmed. I made it back safe, didn't I? With that, Chunzhe recounted every detail of his trek deep into the dense woods to her, leaving nothing out. Once she understood the full story, Wang Yalan let out a long, relieved breath. So those E-grade tomatoes really suppress the ant venom? Eat a few more at once. A few more. Chunzhe blinked, staring at her with helpless disbelief, as if she had no idea their value. These are genuine E-grade tomatoes. Do you know how rare they are? If I listed them on the trade market, buyers would snatch every single one up instantly at 300 survival coins each. No amount of survival coins matters more than your life. Wang Yalan frowned sharply, her tone unshakable. Survival coins matter, but what if skimping on these few fruits leaves some lingering aftereffects? As Wang Yalan spoke, she took another step forward, staring straight into Chunzhe's eyes without blinking. Are you going to eat them or not? Good grief, was he being openly threatened here? Even with this pressure bearing down on him, Chunzhe felt not the slightest trace of resentment, only a warm rush of fondness swelling in his chest. He'd never imagined that the usually gentle-looking Wang Yalan could have such a forceful side to her. Chunzhe let out a helpless, amused sigh and surrendered completely, raising his hands in defeat. Fine, I'll eat them. I can't win an argument with you anyway. With that, he pulled out 4-grade E-mutant tomatoes, picked one up, wiped it on his palm, and took a big bite right away. You eat some too. These don't just suppress toxins, they boost all base stats. The catch is each person only gets the buff 3 times at most. The texture of these grade E-mutant tomatoes was worlds apart from ordinary tomatoes back on Earth. Their flesh was dense and soft, bursting with rich, thick juice. A sweet, refreshing tang hit his tongue first, and after swallowing, a faint wisp of vital energy slid down his throat. Warmth slowly circulated through every limb and meridian, melting all tension from his body. Even though Chunzhe had tasted one before, the flavor still struck him as incredible the second time around. Wang Yalan, however, made no move to take one. Her eyes stayed fixed firmly on Chunzhe until he finished the entire tomato. She hurried over, leaning in to scrutinize his shoulder intently. After studying it for a long moment, she pressed her lips together softly, her tone softening noticeably. I think the venom really stopped spreading. I told you so. The ant poison isn't advancing anymore. It'll clear up on its own in a couple days. Seeing Wang Yalan hang her head, Chunzhe dropped the subject and pushed the remaining tomatoes toward her. Hurry up and eat yours. I'd better not. These are so precious. You could sell them for a lot of survival coins. Don't waste them on me. Wang Yalan shook her head gently and subconsciously stepped back half a pace. Enough, stop turning them down. When she still refused to take the fruit, Chunzhe's voice deepened, his expression earnest. If all you want is to be a pretty ornament relying on someone else, forget what I said. But if you plan to fight alongside me from now on, eat every last one. His words rang out firm and unshakable, not a hint of jest in them. Wang Yalan froze all over, lifting her eyes to stare at Chunzhe's solemn face. When she'd resolved to follow him, she'd braced herself for every possible hardship. She'd even privately thought she was nothing more than someone clinging to him for her looks, ready to sacrifice everything at any time. But right now, she truly realized this man saw her as one of his own. This sincere regard struck her straight to the heart. Her nose stung, and an indescribable warmth flooded her chest. She did not hesitate another second and nodded lightly. I'll listen to you. I'll eat them. That's more like it. Wang Yalan ate slowly, savoring every bite, not just the taste on her tongue, but the steady surge of strength coursing through her body as her stats rose. Just then, the cold mechanical system alert blared in Chunzhe's mind, jolting him back to his senses. Notification: the 2 fortress hearts you listed on the trade house have sold out completely. Chunzhe immediately opened the transaction log and saw the buyer was a survivor who'd kept their identity anonymous the entire time. He frowned, thoroughly confused. Ordinary survivors gained nothing from fortress hearts. They were useless, mediocre talent materials at best. It was extremely odd that this person would buy 2 all at once. Why buy 2 mostly useless fortress hearts in one go? Could they have the same devour-type special talent as me, allowing them to absorb and fuse these talent items? Chunzhe was full of guesses and wanted to message the buyer for answers, but the anonymous trade block barred all private communication. After several failed attempts, he gave up with a sigh. Oh well, let it be. He quickly pushed the thought aside, resolving to sell off all surplus supplies and stockpile emergency repair kits. He'd awakened the S-tier Talent Tycoon's armor. Powerful as it was, it required a steady supply of repair kits to grow stronger, his top priority right now. With his mind made up, Chunzhe sat down and tallied every item he possessed. He checked his inventory: Type 38 rifle, mortar, Grade F Tang Dao, Grade F planting crate, Grade E water purifier, Grade E flying ant beast core, mystical beast hide, Fortress upgrade materials, grade F crossbow, grade E mutant tomatoes. All these goods were rare commodities in the current stage. Any single one could fetch hundreds, even over 1,000 survival coins. After mulling it over and weighing the pros and cons, Chunzhe determined only 2 items were safe to sell: the grade F crossbow and his extra tomatoes. Everything else had critical uses he couldn't spare. Alright, I'll sell these 2 first. Public chat channel. With the second wave of zombie attacks looming, the chat channel was buzzing non-stop, messages scrolling endlessly across the screen. Little Maruko loves fishing. Anyone got stat-boosting graded fruit? Buying at high prices. Bashian Barbarian King. Graded fruit? What's that? What does it do? Struggling novelist. You don't know? Graded fruit gives permanent stat boosts. Roundbeard man. Stat boosts sound overrated. Who's dumb enough to melee zombies right now? Weapons are king. Spending a fortune on fruit is worse than stocking up on arms. Lord Saintly Dawn. Fair point, but you can only carry 1 or 2 weapons max. Permanent stats are reliable strength that serves you anywhere you go. Taking advantage of the heated discussion over graded produce, Chunzhe listed 10 grade E mutant tomatoes on the trade house at a price of 300 survival coins each, then posted in the public channel. Li Yunlong of Magic City. I've got grade E mutant tomatoes for sale. Grab them fast. Stock is limited. Chunzhe knew his post would spark chatter, but he never expected the endless stream of messages to grind to a dead halt for a full 1 or 2 seconds. Every survivor scrolling the chat or typing messages froze mid-action, all eyes locking onto his line of text. The channel fell into an eerie, total silence. The quiet shattered instantly, thousands of messages flooding the screen at once. Bashian Barbarian King. Did I read that right? Someone's selling grade E stat fruit. Little Maruko loves fishing. Oh my god, grade E. I managed to grab one. Struggling novelist. Unbelievable. Who'd part with such a treasure? Absolute big spender. Olyulu the Righteous Messenger. 300 each is a rip-off. I can't even scrape together 100 survival coins right now. Lord Saintly Dawn. 300 is actually a fair price. I paid 200 for a single grade F fruit this morning, and this is grade E. Roundbeard man. Damn, Li Yunlong's the real top-tier survivor here. Legal lowly. Brother Yunlong, I want to eat the fruit too. Can I trade private photos for some? Chunzhe twitched at the sight of the message. Trade private photos? Who does she think she is? In mere moments, all 10 listed tomatoes were snapped up. Non-stop trade alerts popped up, flooding his account with a massive sum of survival coins. Chunzhe skimmed the buyer list. Besides anonymous accounts, Little Maruko loves fishing and Lord Saintly Dawn were both buyers. The latter purchased 3 tomatoes alone. What's Lord Saintly Dawn's deal? Where does he get that many survival coins? As soon as the thought crossed his mind, a system notification popped up. Lord Saintly Dawn has sent you a friend request. Accept? Chunzhe hesitated briefly, then tapped accept. Lord Saintly Dawn, Brotherly Yunlong, it's an honor to connect with you. His opening message was extremely polite and humble. Li Yunlong of Magic City, hello. What can I do for you? Lord Saintly Dawn, nothing major, just a quick question. Where did you get so many grade E mutant fruits? Realizing how forward the question sounded, he rushed to add an explanation. Lord Saintly Dawn, please don't take offense. Back in the old world, I ran a large private security firm with dozens of ex-soldiers under me. When the apocalypse hit, I gathered my former men to survive as a group. Our crew is sizable, and we have a huge demand for stat fruit. If you can't share your source, I completely understand. Of course he couldn't share his source. The Misty Vale Woods wasn't too far away, but this man prying into his supplies with no offer of compensation was suspicious. Trust was a luxury, and caution was wise. Li Yunlong of Magic City. I stumbled across them while out exploring. This batch is all sold out now. It took roughly 30 seconds for the other party to reply. Lord Saintly Dawn, understood, my apologies for being intrusive. If you come across more grade E mutant produce later, please come to me first. I'll pay a premium of 350 survival coins per fruit, far above market price. Li Yunlong of Magic City, will do, count on it. After ending the conversation, Chunzhe furrowed his brow and pondered. First Guochongjing recruiting survivors to build power, now this ex-security firm owner rallying his own crew. Clearly many survivors were secretly building up strength behind the scenes. The thought made him wonder if he should start assembling his own faction too. Yet, deep down, the idea filled him with reluctance. In the peaceful world before rebirth, he'd built a company from nothing, expanding it to the brink of an IPO. In the end, the closest friend he'd trusted with everything stabbed him in the back, stole all his life's work, and left him with absolutely nothing. That searing betrayal had broken his faith in others. He had no desire to repeat the same mistakes in this survival realm. Building a faction could wait. If he ever met someone truly trustworthy, he'd observe their character slowly to lay groundwork for the future. Just then, another message arrived from Boss Gao, the sincere merchant. Boss Gao, AAA Construction Supplies. Brotherly Yunlong, my good man. Word got around you sold grade E tomatoes for only 300 coins each. Another buyer trying to outbid everyone? Had he undersold them? Li Yunlong of Magic City. Ha ha ha, nothing slips past you. He'd spoken with Boss Gao once before and thought well of him, an uncomplicated businessman whose only priority was profit. Men like him had no ambitions to form cliques or compete for power, making interactions straightforward. He saw no need to beat around the bush. Boss Gao, AAA Construction Supplies. Tell me honestly, you still have some of that treasure fruit left? Sell me a batch. I'll pay 400 coins apiece. 400 each? Incredible. Chunzhe thought for a second. He still had 15 tomatoes left. Selling 5 to Boss Gao and keeping 10 would be more than enough for his own use. It'd also curry favor with the merchant, who could help him source rare materials later. Li Yunlong of Magic City. Don't worry, I set some aside for you. He sent a trade request immediately. 5 grade E mutant tomatoes. Boss Gao wasted no time and transferred the payment at once. Boss Gao, AAA Construction Supplies. You're a solid guy. From now on, everything you buy from me gets 20 off. Li Yunlong of Magic City. Don't wait till later. How about now? I need some fortress upgrade materials. Grins Boss Gao, AAA Construction Supplies. Haha. I knew you were being generous for a reason. How many sets do you need? Li Yunlong of Magic City. 150 sets. Boss Gao, AAA Construction Supplies. Done. Original price is 1,500 coins. I keep my word, 1,200 flat for you. Once the trade finished, Chunzhe spent an additional 1,000 survival coins on a Tier 2 fortress blueprint. Now every material required to upgrade was ready. After all transactions, 2,800 survival coins remained in his account, more than enough to cover all expenses for the night. Arise, my beloved. Chunzhe's heart surged with excitement, blurting the line before catching the odd atmosphere. He coughed twice to correct himself. Upgrade my fortress. He focused his energy, raising a finger to tap the fortress upgrade button on the system interface. In an instant, the entire tower fortress rumbled violently. Its thick stone walls rapidly reinforced and expanded, foundations sinking deeper and widening as the whole structure shook. What's happening? Why is the tower shaking? Wang Yalan's voice drifted down from the second floor, followed by hurried footsteps thudding down the stairs. Her face paled with panic. Mr. Chun, it's an earthquake. We have to run. Chunzhe held up a hand to calm her, smiling to ease her fright. Don't panic, it's no earthquake. He gestured to the trembling walls, amusement glinting in his eyes. Our fortress is upgrading to Tier 2. That's why there's so much commotion. Tier 2. Wang Yalan clapped a hand over her mouth, her almond eyes blown wide in utter shock. We're only on the second day of survival. Our fortress is already upgrading? That's unbelievably fast. Chunzhe nodded faintly. Exactly. Move fast, stay ahead of the pack. That's how we'll carve out a decent life for ourselves. The tower's upgrade took roughly 1 full minute. Every dimension, length, width, height, doubled entirely. The original blocky tower transformed into a miniature castle standing tall amid the apocalyptic ruins. Its walls grew far thicker, the gray stone bricks coated solidly in cement that glinted coldly under moonlight, an impenetrable shield. The narrow firing slits widened, offering a broader field of vision and room to mount heavier defensive weaponry. The interior space expanded drastically too. The original 4-story tower gained 2 extra levels, standing 6 stories tall total. Each floor's ceiling rose higher, making every room far brighter and airier. The ground floor hall could comfortably fit over a dozen people at once, plus several extra small chambers for storage or temporary rest quarters. Ding! Tier 2 fortress upgrade complete. New features unlocked. Forge table, coordinate locator. As the first survivor in this zone to upgrade a fortress to Tier 2, reward issued. 1 random relocation token, 1 grade, E fully automatic crossbow construction schematic. Broadcasting announcement across the entire zone now. The string of system alerts left Chunzhe grinning from ear to ear. At nearly the exact same moment, every survivor in Zone 11332 received a system notification. Congratulations to survivor Li Yunlong of Magic City for being the first to upgrade their fortress to Tier 2. All survivors, keep striving to grow your strength. The public chat channel erupted in chaos. Doubao never lies. Wait a second? I can barely scrounge up food and water, And someone already has a Tier 2 fortress? Little Maruko loves fishing. It's big shot Li Yunlong. A legend indeed, upgrading on only day 2. No hunger for me. I remember now, he was the one selling grade E tomatoes earlier. Florida Drifter. Comparing people is such a bitter pill. Does anyone know who Li Yunlong is? Let's team up and pledge allegiance to him. Fei Fei, brother Yunlong, are you in need of special companionship services? Shenzhe paid no mind to the flood of gossip and casually closed the chat window. His system interface had several new updates. Glancing at the top right corner, clear numerical coordinates appeared. 123, 112, his fortress's exact location, courtesy of the newly unlocked coordinate locator feature. Fortress Survival World lacks any distinctive landmarks. Its land cracked and parched everywhere. Thanks to the coordinate function, even when venturing far to gather resources, you can always trace your way back via coordinates. Yet convenience always walks hand in hand with hidden, endless dangers. If your fortress coordinates leak accidentally, it is equivalent to lighting a guiding beacon for all ill-intentioned scavengers amid the perilous darkness. Greedy survivors will track the coordinates straight to your door, so fortress coordinates must never be disclosed lightly. Thinking of this, Shenzhe recalled the system had rewarded him a random relocation token. He opened his inventory and immediately spotted a pitch-black token. Random relocation token consumable, single-use item description. Upon use, instantly teleport the holder's fortress to any unlocked explored zone at random. What a priceless item! Shenzhe exclaimed excitedly. With this token tucked away, he held a trump card hidden up his sleeve. Even if powerful foes lock onto his coordinates and launch a massive siege later, he could activate the token instantly, whisking his entire fortress away silently, vanishing from all sight to evade every pursuit. Besides that, a dedicated Forge Table tab had appeared on his system panel. He tapped it open, and a brand new interface popped up at once. The interface sorted items into categories: weapons, armor, practical tools, and more. But every tab he clicked was blank, with 0 craftable items available. 2 clear lines of functional explanation appeared at the bottom of the page. Forge Table function note. Corresponding crafting blueprints or construction templates are required to unlock recipes, enabling automated fabrication of survival supplies and combat gear. Crafting blueprints are single-use consumables. Construction templates may be reused infinitely. Reading the rules, Shenzhe suddenly understood the difference between blueprints and templates. Single-use blueprints vanish after one craft, while the Grade E automatic crossbow template he owned could be used repeatedly, far more valuable long-term than ordinary blueprints. He immediately pulled up the newly acquired Grade E automatic crossbow template from his inventory and activated it. A new entry appeared under the Weapons tab of the Forge table. Grade E automatic crossbow required materials. Grade E beast tendon ×1. Grade E timber ×10. Beast core any grade ×1. Grade E crossbow bolt required materials. Grade E timber ×1. Wait a minute, what even is Grade E timber? And why the hell does a crossbow need a beast core to build? Shenzhe was utterly speechless. He knew exactly what the system was pushing him to do: force him back into the glowing veil forest once more. What's wrong, Mr. Chen? Wang Yalan noticed his strange expression and asked. Shenzhe did not hide anything, sharing the system screen with her directly. Staring at the material requirements on the panel, Wang Yalan looked equally helpless. These materials are going to be incredibly hard to come by. She paused, then added, but don't worry too much. Maybe zombies will drop them later. Shenzhe nodded slowly. Deep down, he suspected her guess would come true, but time was not on his side. By the time Grade E timber spawned casually from mobs, his automatic crossbows would lose all their value. As things stood, the glowing veil forest was his only shot at mass-producing crossbows anytime soon. Ding ding ding. System notification, new private messages received. Big shot boss, Legend Li Yunlong. Was that system announcement you just triggered? Holy hell, you're insane. 40-year-old dad of 2. Brother Li Yunlong, congratulations on your milestone. AAA construction boss Gao. Impressive move hitting level 2 fortress so fast. Hit me up if you've got any rare loot to sell. Shenzhe had kept private messages blocked for strangers, but his handful of trade contacts had all sent him messages. He was about to reply when a shrill, guttural roar split the air. Rhea, they're here. Tonight's zombie assault has arrived. Shenzhe sprinted to the observation window, shining the searchlight out into the distance. Dozens of meters away, a dense horde of zombies had assembled, snarling and charging straight for the tower. That horde must top 100 strong, Shenzhe murmured, his Adam's apple bobbing faintly as he narrowed his eyes. He had prepared beforehand, knowing siege zombie numbers scaled directly with fortress rating. Still, seeing the tidal wave of undead bearing down sent a jolt of shock through him. But excitement quickly surged to replace his surprise. 100 zombies meant over 1,000 survival coins, plus piles of high-tier loot. Without further hesitation, Chunzhe barked, "Yalan, open fire." Wang Yalan had frozen, stunned by the terrifying tide, but his voice snapped her back to focus. "Understood, Mr. Chun." She quickly hefted her Type 38 rifle, took aim for several long seconds, and pulled the trigger. Bang! The crisp gunshot kicked off the battle. The horde rippled slightly, but kept advancing without pause. Watching her slow firing pace, Chunzhe sighed internally. She's just a civilian woman. I'll need to recruit more capable fighters to man this tower later. As the tower rose in level, holding off monster hordes alone would become impossible. Recruiting trustworthy allies needed to move to the top of his priority list. Chunzhe's marksmanship was leagues above hers. Bang bang bang. 3 consecutive shots, each dead center on a zombie's skull, felling a large swathe of the horde behind them. A stream of system alerts chimed in his mind. Congratulations, survivor. F-class zombie eliminated. Survival coins plus 10. Congratulations, survivor. F-class zombie eliminated. Survival coins plus 10. Yalan, reload for me. I'll handle the shooting. Teamwork made the work light. With the two coordinating, zombie clear-out speed skyrocketed. Gunfire rang non-stop, every bullet piercing a zombie's cranium cleanly. The frontline monsters crashed to the ground one after another, piling into thick mounds of corpses that drastically slowed the horde's advance. Yet they were only dozens of meters from the tower. After Chunzhe gunned down over 20 zombies, the horde reached the walls. System alerts blared again instantly. Warning, fortress under attack. Current durability, 199/200. Warning, fortress under attack. Current durability, 198 out of 200. Chunzhe kept firing steadily, his gaze locked on the dropping durability meter. He noticed far more zombies swarming the tower than the night before, yet durability drained far slower. S-tier talent, Tycoon's Aegis activated. Max durability, +1. Current durability, 195/201. His talent had triggered. That extra 5 durability had held for 3 full minutes. Even without emergency repair kits, the tower could withstand assaults for nearly 2 hours straight. Haha, hold your fire, Yalan. Let's stack the passive to the max tonight. His confusing line left Wang Yalan utterly baffled. A wild thought crossed her married mind unbidden. Stack to the max? Stack bodies into a pile. Does he think we can't hold them off, and wants to fool around before we die? Well, if that's what he wants, I won't refuse. Wang Yalan's cheeks flushed hot, her gun hand trembling with tangled emotions. All right, whatever you say. I'm yours in life, and in death I'll. Chunzhe cut her off mid-sentence, realizing her misunderstanding. Of course she had no clue what his talent did. She'd completely misread his words. Wait, stop. I meant stacking my passive talent buff. Where on earth did your mind go? Huh? Wang Yalan's face burned bright red. The lewd images she'd imagined sent her heart hammering. Even without knowing what stacking the passive meant, she realized she'd misinterpreted him horribly. I see. You meant stacking passive effects. My bad. I misread you. She mumbled quietly, forcing her racing thoughts back under control. Chunzhe marveled at her wandering train of thought. Zombies were breaking down the walls, yet her mind had drifted to such inappropriate fantasies. My talent raises my fortress's maximum durability every time the walls take damage. These regular zombies hit weakly, so I plan to farm stacks of the passive buff hard. He clarified. His gaze drifted over her flushed cheeks and pressed lips, the soft curve of her neck as she stared down in embarrassment, stirring a faint flutter in his chest. A stray lustful thought crossed his mind. This woman looked incredibly tempting right now. If he gave in to the urge, it would surely be satisfying. I see, Wang Yalan replied softly. She caught his intense stare, her heart skipping nervously. She shuffled a few steps aside to resume reloading ammunition. Chunzhe dropped the topic. Tempting as she was, now was not the time to act on it. His top priority was farming talent stacks off the horde to shore up the fortress's defenses. He set aside the Type 38 and switched to the F-class crossbow looted from Lei Daong earlier, thinning the horde at a slower pace. 2 hours slipped by. After burning 2 emergency repair kits, his fortress's maximum durability hit 253, a full quarter increase. If I grind this horde all night, my max durability could climb past 400, Chunzhe thought, a glint of joy in his eyes. Just then, a roar far more ferocious than any ordinary zombie split the night sky. Rayaf, the rumbling, thunderous howl carried immense force, shaking the tower's stone walls faintly. Chunzhe snapped out of his daydreams, spinning the searchlight toward the sound. Blinding light cut through the black night, locking onto a patch of ground dozens of meters away. When he made out the full figure, his pupils constricted sharply, and he swore aloud. Shit! What the hell is that thing? The searchlight cast the terrifying silhouette into sharp focus. It was a colossal zombie, towering far higher than the single-story buildings around it. Bulging, corded muscles ripped through its rotting rags, its gray-black skin covered in jagged bony protrusions like embedded shards of bone. Worst of all, its hands were the size of millstones, its 5 fingers fused solid into 2 massive bone mallets that exuded a bone-chilling aura in the dark. It moved sluggishly, yet every heavy step sent a deep thud rippling vibrations across the entire terrain. System alert. E-Class Mutant Zombie detected, Brute Rager. Base stats, Strength 29, Agility 12, Constitution 35. Special ability, Bone Mallet Slam, deals catastrophic damage to fortresses on impact. Warning, this mutant zombie has locked onto your fortress. Prepare for severe combat. The system's warnings echoed in his head, and Chun-Zhe frowned deeply. An E-Class zombie? Every survivor in the dozen nearby fortresses turned their gaze toward his tower. Good God, what is that monster? We're doomed. It's only the second day. How could something this terrifying spawn? If the system wants us dead, why not just kill us outright? Wait, it's not targeting anyone else. It's heading straight for the tower. It's here for Chun-Zhe. Serves him right. He's been arrogant this whole time. Let's see how he survives this. Brother, abandon your tower and run. Take shelter with us if you have nowhere else. Chun-Zhe recognized that last voice, the family he'd rescued the night before. The man hacked down a zombie at his window and shouted desperately across the distance. Chun-Zhe ignored the call, his eyes fixed unblinkingly on the charging E-Class brute. A cold smirk tugged at his lips. Finally, a real heavy hitter. Mr. Chun, we don't stand a chance. Wang Yalan had also spotted the monster, her voice trembling. Before she finished speaking, Chun-Zhe moved. He snatched up a Type 38, raised, aimed, and fired in one fluid motion. Bang, bang, bang. 5 shots emptied the magazine, 5 streaks of searing light streaking straight for the brute rager's skull. No satisfying penetration sound followed, only sharp clang, clang, clang. The bullets barely scraped the outer skin before bouncing off its rock-hard skull. Wang Yalan gasped, stumbling backward 2 steps. The monster was impervious to standard bullets. Panic crashed over her, draining every ounce of her will to fight. Keep reloading. Chun-Ze's steady voice cut through her terror like thunder. She stared at the man beside her. He stood rigid, no flicker of fear on his face. His unshakable resolve radiated strength, calming her crumbling nerves. If this man stood guard over her, death tonight would be worth it. Right away, Wang Yalan rushed forward to reload the rifle. Chun-Ze's calm exterior masked inner shock. The bullets ricocheting off the brute's skull had rattled him badly. But this tower was his sole lifeline in this apocalyptic world. He would not surrender it easily. The bullets pierced its skin, so there's still a way to hurt it. Chun-Ze muttered, raising the rifle again. This time he did not fire recklessly. He held his breath, locked onto his target, and squeezed the trigger. Bang! A burst of fire tore through the night, zeroing in straight on the giant monster's eye socket. Squelch! The wet sound of lead tearing flesh echoed, followed by a blood-curdling scream. Whoa! The deafening roar made every survivor's ears ring. Chun-Ze's shot had buried itself in the brute rager's left eye, thick black ichor gushing from the wound like a fountain. The monster staggered backward 3 thunderous steps, each footprint cracking the dry earth deep beneath its weight. Blinded and crippled, the brute rager descended into a frenzy of unbridled rage and agony. It swung its massive bone mallet arms wildly, whipping the air into a howling gale. Ordinary zombies caught in its radius exploded into gory puddles of crushed flesh and bone. Perfect shot, Mr. Chun. Wang Yalan cheered, her chest heaving with excitement. Just as I predicted. Chun-Ze wasted no time firing again. But after its brief rampage, the E-Class mutant charged the tower at full speed, covering the short distance in a heartbeat. Chun-Ze landed over 10 more shots in the interim, yet none struck its vulnerable eye like the first hit. The brute rager reached the base of the tower, raising its millstone-sized fists and slamming them full force into the outer wall. Crash! The entire tower shuddered violently from the blow. Wang Yalan lurched forward, ready to fall. Chun-Ze shot an arm out and caught her steady. Warning, fortress under heavy assault. Current durability, 214/253 S-tier talent. Tycoon's Aegis activated. Max durability +8. Current durability, 214 out of 261. Damn it. That single strike drained nearly 40 durability points. Chunzei's heart raced. At this damage output, the tower would collapse in minutes. There was no time to waste. The brute rager lifted its mallet fists to strike again. I have to stop it. Chunzei held over 2,000 survival coins saved specifically to farm passive stacks tonight. But the brute's overwhelming damage would break the tower long before dawn. He made a snap decision, stepping out of the observation window onto the narrow exterior ledge of the tower. The brute rager stood directly below him, placing Chunzei at a perfect overhead firing angle. He had barely planted his feet when another thunderous thud shook the walls. He watched the concrete wall cave inward under the brute's fist, stone and cement dust raining down. Damn it, my tower! Chunzei roared, his heart aching at the damage. He hastily activated an emergency repair kit, pushing durability back to a safe threshold. You overgrown abomination. Come get me. Bang bang bang. Chunzei shouted curses while firing nonstop. At such close range, the surrounding horde of regular zombies boxed the brute in, leaving it no room to dodge. Its crown was torn open instantly, black foul blood splattering across every surface as lead slammed into its skull repeatedly. Ow! The brute corpse roared in agony, tilting its head back to unleash an earth-shaking bellow. A wave of putrid, fetid wind crashed over Chunzei. His brain stalled for a split second, a violent wave of dizziness washing over him. He lost his balance instantly and lurched sideways, teetering on the brink of tumbling into the horde of zombies below. I'm done for. I messed up big time. The tiny outer platform spanned barely half a square meter. While disoriented, Chunzei's torso had already hung out over the edge, mere moments from plummeting all the way down. This is the end for me. Despair surged through his mind. A crushing sense of weightlessness seized his limbs, and he fell uncontrollably toward the ground. Countless zombies on the floor lifted their rotting heads, raspy snarls echoing everywhere. Their reeking, slobbering jaws gaped wide, lined with jagged fangs. They waited eagerly to tear him limb from limb and devour him alive. At the critical split second, Wang Yalan summoned an unexpected surge of desperate strength. She threw herself forward and wrapped both arms tightly around Chunzei's calves. Her upper body dangled off the platform, nearly all her weight dragging down on his legs. The sudden drag abruptly halted Chunzei's fall. Mr. Chun, Wang Yalan cried out, her voice shrill with panic and terror, but she was only a woman with limited strength. Even straining with every ounce of her might, she could not stop Chunzei from slipping further downward. Chunzei, I can't hold on much longer. Her shout jolted Chunzei back to full clarity. He snapped his eyes open just as the brute zombie's hands swiped inches above his head. The foul stench trailing its limbs churned his stomach violently. Teetering between life and death, Chunzei's will to survive blazed brighter than ever. His capped 20-point base stats surged into play, letting him brace against the uneven outer wall of the bunker to steady his swaying frame. Next, he dug his fingers into cracks in the wall, pushed hard, and scrambled upward like a gecko. Seeing Chunzei clawing his way back up, Wang Yalan summoned a fresh burst of energy. She clung tighter to his legs and hauled upward with every last bit of strength. Working together, they dragged Chunzei back onto the platform. He collapsed flat on the metal surface, gasping for ragged breaths as his heart hammered wildly in his chest, threatening to burst free. Huff, huff, Yalan. Thank you. Chunzei panted, barely able to string words together. Mr. Chun, don't mention it. We have to survive together. Wang Yalan was equally exhausted, her shirt soaked through with sweat and plastered to her back. Yet the danger was far from over. The brute zombie outside sensed its prey escaping and slammed against the bunker with even more ferocity. Boom, boom, boom. Deafening crashes shook the bunker until it swayed precariously, and a string of system alerts chimed in his mind. Warning, the fortress is under attack. Current durability, 221/261. S-Talent Tycoon's armor activated. Max durability +8. Current durability, 221/269. Warning, the fortress is under attack. Current durability, 178/269. S-Talent Tycoon's armor activated. Max durability +8. Current durability, 178/277. The E-rank zombie's passive ability stacked durability shockingly fast. In mere minutes, the bunker's maximum durability was edging close to the 300 threshold, something ordinary zombies could never accomplish so quickly. Chunzhe had no bandwidth to care about that right now. Having narrowly escaped death moments ago, he dared not underestimate the monster outside any longer. Damn it. You think I'm a pushover just because I haven't fought back yet? Chunzhe resolved to hold nothing back. He would unleash his ultimate trump card, the Type 92 infantry howitzer. He hurried down to the second floor, where an observation slit lined up perfectly level with the E-rank mutant zombie's head. Spotting Chunzhe, the beast let loose a feral shriek and slammed its millstone-sized fists against the slit. The ground trembled, and stone shards flew everywhere. Fine. Real fine monster. Let's see if your skull's tougher than my artillery shells. With a thought, Chunzhe summoned his prized weapon straight out of his system storage. A military green infantry howitzer materialized before him, its cold barrel radiating frigid menace as if taunting the mutant zombie. Without hesitation, Chunzhe's hands blurred as he operated the gun. Breech open, shell loaded, breech closed. Aim locked, every movement fluid and seamless. This cannon was his ace in the hole. Over the past 2 days, he had mastered its operation, ensuring he would not fumble it in a life or death moment. What's more, the zombie's massive head sat directly before the observation slit, requiring barely any precise aiming and simplifying the whole process drastically. Dot! He roared and wrenched the firing cord hard. A thunderous blast erupted from the Type 92 howitzer, a blinding sheet of flame billowing from its muzzle. A custom artillery shell streaked forth like a meteor, slamming straight into the brute zombie's skull. Crash! A direct hit. Fire exploded skyward, and the deafening detonation sent a searing ache through their eardrums. A massive shockwave rippled outward from the zombie's head like a raging tide, compressing the surrounding air until it screamed at a piercing pitch. The brute zombie's skull shattered like fragile foam under the explosive force. Brain matter and bone fragments sprayed outward alongside thick, black, tainted blood. The colossal corpse was hurled backwards several meters by the blast's impact, crashing heavily into the ground to carve a deep crater. Cracks spiderwebbed across the earth all around it. Chunzhe and Wang Yalan stumbled backward from the shockwave, a constant high-pitched ring echoing in their ears. Once the smoke thinned slightly, the sight before them left both of their throats dry with shock. The narrow observation slit, barely wide enough for one person to peer through, was completely mangled. The surrounding walls were pockmarked with blast damage, littered with loose stone and brick debris. The once imposing brute zombie lay crumpled a short distance away, its head obliterated entirely. Thick black blood gushed from its ragged neck stump, charred burn marks disfiguring its torso. Mud and stone littered the ground around the corpse in a chaotic mess. This power, it's absolutely terrifying, Wang Yalan whispered shakily, her ears still ringing nonstop. Chunzhe drew a deep breath, forcing himself to recover from the awe-inspiring destruction. Finally, it's dead. Ding. Congratulations on slaying the E-rank mutant zombie, brute corpse. Reward, 1,000 survival coins. Ding. Congratulations on becoming the first survivor in this zone to eliminate an E-rank mutant zombie. Reward, 500 survival coins. Acquired title, Dawn of Renown. Rewards arrived, and a zone-wide announcement had triggered too. Chunzhe rushed to check the prize. A bronze medal materialized in his vision. Medal, Dawn of Renown stats, +6 item drop rate, +10 all attributes. The bonus attributes do not count toward level up requirements and solely boost base stats. Haha, a medal. Chunzhe's eyes lit up. As far as he knew, he was the only survivor in the zone to own one previously, and now a second belonged to him. This new medal boasted far finer craftsmanship than his first. Its bronze surface glowed with an antique sheen, its rim etched with delicate engravings. At its center, a sharp sword pierced a zombie's skull, the lifelike design a testament to his triumph over an E-rank mutant. Best of all, its stats vastly outshone his old medal. His drop rate had effectively doubled, plus a flat +10 boost to every attribute. Many survivors in this zone likely did not even hit 10 total combined attributes. At this early stage, this medal qualified as a god-tier artifact. He hung the Dawn of Renown medal around his neck, and his old First Blood medal automatically returned to system storage. His updated stats rose to a new threshold. Survivor. Chunzhe level, 1 strength, 20 +10 cap reached. Level up to raise further. Agility, 19 +10 gradually increasing. Constitution, 20 +10 cap reached. Level up to raise further. Active abilities, none rating. F+ analysis. Stats meet the E rank threshold, yet you have not broken past your limits, still a novice survivor. Level up requirements. All base stats hit 20, plus 1 E-rank monster core of any type. Thanks to the medal's bonuses, Chunzei's attributes skyrocketed. Even without leveling up yet, his rating had climbed to F+. Once midnight struck and his E-rank purified water took effect, he would level up instantly, pushing his rating even higher. Note: E-rank purified water applies its stat boost at midnight the next day. Meanwhile, the zone chat channel had erupted into chaos. Little Maruko loves fishing. Whoa. Boss Li Yunlong pulled another zone-wide notification. All in his wisdom. What's going on? I can't even clear the F-rank zombies outside my bunker. And this guy's hunting E-rank mutants already. Hajime's tank trooper. Did this guy get the main character cheat code? I'm so jealous. Fat Master is the best. Another win for Boss Li Yunlong. Absolute legend. No lighter. Boss, take me under your wing. I'm a guy, but I can sing, play instruments, anything you want. I'll come tonight if you say the word. The conversation veered wildly off track, yet nearly every message revolved around Chunzei. Chunzei paid no mind to the chatter. That single artillery blast had killed the E-rank mutant and slaughtered most of the ordinary zombies surrounding it. 3 faint glowing orbs flickered to life near the bunker walls. Only 2 white orbs and 1 cyan. That's underwhelming. Chunzei felt a flicker of disappointment. From his own experience and what he'd read in chat, white orbs held the lowest tier rewards, usually F-rank gear or ungraded junk. Cyan orbs ranked higher, guaranteed to drop items F-rank or above. TCH. Such a huge monster, and it barely dropped any loot. What a waste. Chunzei shot a resentful glance at the brute corpse's carcass. Just then, Wang Yalan caught sight of something strange. She rubbed her eyes, pointed at the giant zombie's body, and asked in confusion, Mr. Chun, am I seeing things? Is that light glowing inside the monster's stomach? Chunzei frowned and followed the line of her finger. Faint shimmering light indeed peeked out from under the zombie's bulging belly. He had missed it earlier, blocked by the beast's enormous frame. It's blue. A blue orb. Ha ha ha. This is a far higher tier reward. Overjoyed, Chunzei slipped an arm around Wang Yalan's waist and gently pulled her against his chest. I wouldn't have spotted it without you. You're my lucky charm. Caught off guard, Wang Yalan let out a soft, muffled gasp and pressed flush against his body. Her cheeks burned hot against his chest, and her heart raced uncontrollably. Is he going to make a move on me? What about all the zombies outside? I haven't bathed in 2 days. Will he think I smell awful? Her mind spiraled with messy, jumbled thoughts in an instant. She tensed up instinctively, unsure where to rest her hands, her fingers curling inward as she waited for his next move. Luckily, Chunzei only acted on a surge of excitement and released her after a brief embrace. Wang Yalan let out a quiet sigh of relief as his arms fell away, her rigid muscles softening. She raised a hand to hide her flushed cheeks, silently chiding herself for overthinking everything. She stole a quick glance at Chunzei, only to find his gaze fixed entirely on the glowing blue orb. He had not noticed her flustered state at all. Honestly, what's wrong with him? She grumbled silently, half relieved and half faintly disappointed. Yalan, let's finish off the stragglers and claim our loot. Chunzei's voice cut through the quiet moment. Wang Yalan tilted her head in confusion. They'd planned to stack the durability passive. Why the sudden change of heart? Aren't we going to keep farming the passive buff? There aren't enough zombies left. Even if we grind until dawn, we'd only gain 100 extra durability at most. It's far too slow. Chunzei grinned and continued. Instead of wasting ages here, let's finish them fast and see what amazing loot that blue orb holds. Watching his eager, impatient expression, Wang Yalan covered her mouth and laughed softly, nodding in agreement. All right, I'll follow your lead. The remaining zombies were all ordinary grade, only 20 to 30 left in total. To conserve bullets, Chunzei did not even bother with his Type 38 rifle. He knelt at the first floor observation slit and hacked down the stragglers one by one with his F-rank tang blade, slowly whittling every last zombie to the ground. With his boosted 3-core stats, he could have handled them effortlessly alone with just the blade if he knew basic combat techniques, even without the bunker for cover. But Chunzei had worked as a food delivery rider before the apocalypse. He might outwit an elderly security guard in an argument, but hand-to-hand combat? He had zero training whatsoever. Finally done, Chunzei rubbed his aching shoulders. This fight had driven home how brutal survival was for ordinary people. Even with an F-rank blade, a reinforced bunker, and 30 total attribute points, he had struggled greatly. No wonder the survival rate was so abysmal. Shaking off his thoughts, he called over to Wang Yalan. Let's go see what loot the zombies dropped for us. He pushed open the heavy iron gate, and the two stepped outside the bunker. Distant fighting echoed from other survivors' fortifications, men's shouts drifting faintly through the air. "Brother Chunze, you too made it out alive." The voice belonged to the family of 3. Chunze had helped the night prior. The man clutched a blood-soaked axe, his face and clothes splattered with gore, staring blankly their way. He had only just finished off the zombies outside his bunker. "Watch your words. Mr. Chun is far too capable to die so easily." The man's wife, equally covered in filth, pinched his ear sharply before forcing a nervous smile. "Mr. Chun, my husband doesn't know how to speak properly. Please don't take offense." He was stunned seeing that giant mutant monster earlier. The man nodded rapidly to apologize. Chunze waved off their worry with a grin and asked casually, "Are you two holding up all right?" "We're managing. And hey, thanks for warning us yesterday. Our whole family would have died without your heads up." The man raised both fists in a traditional martial arts salute from afar. His wife shot him an eye roll, seemingly mocking his cheesy gesture, then tugged their young daughter forward to bow deeply together. "Thank you, Mr. Chun. Thank you, Brother Chun." Chunze's heart warmed looking at the little girl's snow-white dress. Even as society crumbled and zombies roamed every corner, pure, genuine gratitude lingered within people's hearts, unextinguished entirely. He had long told himself not to act as a foolish bleeding heart, never to risk his own life for strangers. But faced with this sincere family, especially the wide-eyed, innocent little girl, his defensive walls crumbled a little. "We're all neighbors, no need to thank me," Chunze replied, his mood lightening considerably. "Come on, Yalan. Let's check what treasure that mutant dropped for us." Chunze walked straight over to the brute corpse's body. When his fingers brushed the glowing blue orb, a line of text materialized in his mind. E-rank martial skill. Blade mastery item description. Upon use, you gain master-level proficiency with bladed weapons, equivalent to 10 years of rigorous dedicated sword and blade training for a martial artist. Skill evaluation. Master-grade blade work delivers wide, sweeping offensive strikes and impenetrable tight defense. Once learned, no monster below E rank will stand a chance against you. Holy hell, what even is this? Chunze swore aloud, stunned beyond belief. 10 years of elite blade training compressed into a single item. It was an outright cheat code. "Mr. Chun, what incredible loot did you get?" Wang Yalan hurried over, seeing how wildly excited he was. Without explanation, Chunze grabbed her hand and pressed it into the glowing orb. Her jaw dropped the instant the skill's description flooded her mind. Good heavens, items like this actually drop? It's exactly like a secret martial arts manual from wuxia novels. You'll turn into a master swordsman the second you use this skill. Wang Yalan gasped in awe. "Haha, exactly right." Chunze laughed, his excitement plain to see. "No monster below E rank will pose any threat to me from now on." Ever since he obtained his F rank Tang blade, Chunze had barely gotten a chance to practice with it properly. 2 reasons stood in the way. First, he owned firearms. Second, more critically, he simply lacked any blade training. He could swing the blade clumsily, but close-quarters combat against zombies meant fighting for his life. One misstep could get him killed instantly. Today's battle had made one truth clear. The effectiveness of firearms would only dwindle as time passed. This world's rules seemed to push survivors to rely on their bodies and cold steel to stay alive. "Mr. Chun, you'd better learn it right away," Wang Yalan urged him. Chunze nodded and tapped to activate it immediately. Buzz! A torrent of massive information flooded Chunze's mind in an instant. Countless days and nights of blade cultivation scenes flashed rapidly before his eyes. His body trembled slightly, his hands instinctively curling into a sword grip. The exquisite swordsmanship techniques and real combat experience in his mind pieced together like jigsaw puzzles at breakneck speed. Time seemed to stand still. He sank deep into this miraculous learning process, his comprehension and insight into swordsmanship skyrocketing at an astonishing rate. When the flood of information gradually faded, Chunze slowly opened his eyes, sharp glints flickering within them. He reached out and picked up the F-grade Tang Dao. The blade felt alive in his grasp, fitting him perfectly. Chunze tightened his grip on the hilt, and an overbearing, ferocious aura burst forth at once. "Let me test this sword art's power." With that, Chunze slashed hard at an E-grade mutated zombie. The blade cut through the air with a shrill whistle, as if slicing the atmosphere apart. Squelch! The zombie's tough hide split open to reveal a horrifying half-meter gash. Flesh flapped apart, stark white bone peeking through the wound. Terrifying, utterly terrifying. Chunze suspected that if his Tang Dao were upgraded to E-grade, paired with his master-tier swordsmanship, he could hack the brute zombie's arm clean off with a single strike. Damn satisfying. Wang Yalan stood frozen, utterly stunned by the sight. Staring at the gruesome laceration, she swallowed hard without realizing it. Mr. Chun, with firepower like yours, you'd have been hailed an unparalleled grandmaster back on old Earth. Even top martial arts champions would pale in comparison beside you. All men loved women's praise, and Chun-Zhe was no exception. He grinned widely, baring his teeth. Don't get obsessed with me. I'm just a legend. The remaining light orbs topped out at cyan tier. Luck was on the lean side. He only looted an F+ whip. Chun-Zhe pulled the whip out to examine it. Its entire length was jet black, its material unidentifiable. Its surface rippled with folds, resembling snake skin, and it stretched 3 to 4 meters long when fully unfurled. He had no knack for this weapon and cared nothing for it, ready to stuff it into his backpack on the spot. But when he turned his head, he caught Wang Yalan staring fixedly at the whip. Chun-Zhe raised an eyebrow and held the whip out to her. You like it? It's yours. Huh? Really? Wang Yalan stared at Chun-Zhe in delighted disbelief. Ever since they'd entered the blockhouse, she'd kept her place humble. She obeyed every order he gave. Even when she'd fired the Type 38 rifle earlier, she knew it was a sign of his trust, a chance to pull her weight. But owning a personal weapon was a different matter entirely. This was treatment reserved for true allies. Take it, train hard. It'll cover my back when things get rough. I will, I promise. Wang Yalan nodded vigorously and took the whip with both hands. The final white light orb yielded consistent loot, a 1000 WH solar outdoor power station, 2 F-grade planting crates, and 1 F-grade Allegiance scroll. Whoa, nice drop. Item, Allegiance scroll description. When used on a survivor, the target will never betray the caster and gain a 10 boost to all 3 of the caster's core stats. Note, the target must offer no inner resistance when the scroll is activated. Otherwise, the failure chance surges drastically. Holy hell, this is priceless. Chun-Zhe exclaimed. This scroll erased his biggest worry, trust issues. From now on, anyone wanting entry to his blockhouse would first have to submit to the Allegiance scroll. Once all rewards were claimed, Wang Yalan brought out the meal she'd prepared hours earlier: steamed rice, stir-fried cured pork, shredded potato with chili, and spicy cabbage. How did you cook all this? Chun-Zhe asked. We used to own a portable gas stove, meant for family picnics once we had kids. We never conceived, though, so it sat and used all these years. Perfect timing that it's here now. Wang Yalan paused, then continued. But the last gas canister's empty. We'll need another cooking method from now on. No problem. We just got that solar power station. We can cook with an induction cooker from here out. Chun-Zhe took a couple bites of food and had to admit her cooking was excellent. By the way, you and Yang Wei were together all these years. Why no kids? He asked casually. He went back to shoveling rice, completely missing how Wang Yalan's body stiffened instantly. After a long hesitation, she spoke in a hollow, quiet voice. He can't father children. Uffed. Chun-Zhe sprayed most of his mouth full of rice across the table. Wang Yalan hurried forward to clean up the mess. It's fine. I'll handle it myself. He took a sip of water, and Wang Yalan went on. I've never shared a bed with him after marrying him. At first I thought he had a mistress outside, but then I accidentally saw his medical report, and I found out he's missing the necessary organ entirely. What? Chun-Ze's eyes went wide, shock etched across his face. Yang Wei, I thought your name was just poorly chosen, but turns out it's a peak you'll never reach your whole life. Then a critical thought hit him. Wait a second, does that mean this woman's still untouched? That must have been so hard for you. Wang Yalan said nothing, simply lowering her head to eat. Chun-Ze studied her intently in the faint glow seeping in from outside. She had delicate, refined features, slender brows, and stunning peach blossom eyes. Her slightly unbuttoned collar revealed pale, smooth skin, her soft, alluring demeanor stirring his heart. Chun-Ze swallowed hard, inwardly cheering. This is perfect, absolutely perfect. While Chun-Ze enjoyed the company of a beautiful woman and a steady supply of food and shelter, Guo Changxing fared far worse. His earlier ambush on Chun-Ze had yielded nothing, costing his squad 5 or 6 men outright and crippling their combat strength. Worst of all, Lei Daong was dead. Lei Daong had been Guo Changxing's most loyal subordinate and the squad's fiercest fighter. With their main combat backbone gone, they could not mount a proper counterattack. Outside the steel workshop at that moment, 40 to 50 zombies scratched wildly at the walls. The building's durability plummeted at a rate visible to the naked eye. You worthless trash. Grab weapons and hold the line. Durability's about to hit 0. Guo Changxing roared hysterically, snatching a man cowering in the corner. You're on the front line. Refuse, and you die right now. The man he grabbed was Yang Fei, a resident of splendid Dragon Bay who'd only joined Guo Changxing's squad that day. He shook so violently he could barely stand upright. "I can't, boss. I'm terrified," Yang Fei begged through tears. Huge beads of sweat rolled down his forehead, carving streaks through the grime on his face. "Scared? You leech off my food and supplies. Now it's your turn to pull your weight, and you dare chicken out." Guo Changxing wrenched his fist tight around the man's collar and hurled him hard. Yang Fei crashed into a warehouse shelf with a deafening clang. The rack wobbled violently, and piles of clutter clattered to the ground, landing all over his body. "Ugh!" He groaned in agony and scrambled to his feet, only to freeze the next second. Guo Changxing stood aiming a crossbow straight at him, icy killing intent blazing in his eyes. "Die, or fight the zombies." Yang Fei's eyes bulged as terror crashed over him like a tidal wave. He knew Guo Changxing would kill him without hesitation if he said no. "Boss, I'll go." His voice trembled so violently the words barely squeezed out between his teeth. Cornered by Guo Changxing's threats, he saw no escape. Better to take his chances against the horde than die at his leader's hands. Yang Fei shakily picked up an iron rod. His legs felt weighted with lead as he dragged himself step by step toward the workshop gate. With every stride, he heard his own thunderous heartbeat, threatening to burst out of his chest. He seethed with regret for ever joining this cursed squad. These idiots had lost their minds attacking Chen Zhe. Now half their fighters were dead, and even new recruits like him got thrown out as cannon fodder. A dozen survivors remained inside the workshop, only 4 or 5 men among them. The rest women, elders, and children. Most shared Yang Fei's crushing remorse. They'd thought following Guo Changxing would grant them safety and peace in the apocalypse, only to be trapped in a death sentence. "All men, follow Yang Fei to the gate. If we survive tonight, I'll round up reinforcements tomorrow, and you'll feast on the finest supplies." Guo Changxing turned to another man, a scruffy middle-aged former security guard. "Shao, go slay zombies. You've lusted after whose wife, haven't you? Who's dead now? If we live through tonight, I'll give her to you to do whatever you want with." Before Shao could reply, a pale-skinned woman burst from the crowd, eyes red and streaked with fresh tears. "Guo Changxing, you monster, who just died protecting all of us, and you'd use me as a bargaining chip? Has your conscience been eaten by dogs?" She sobbed uncontrollably, her whole body shaking. Guo Changxing's face flushed with rage and embarrassment. He snarled back, "Cut the sob story. In this apocalypse, survival is the only victory. Your husband died because he was weak. If you don't want to die, shut your mouths." A cold dread washed over everyone listening to his words, yet the zombie threat loomed too close for anyone to dare resist openly. "Sister Hu, we're all just trying to stay alive. Can't you pull your weight as a woman?" Red Sister spoke up, feigning kindness as she reached to steady the widow. "Get away from me. You repulse me." The woman snapped, snatching a steel rebar off the ground and gripping it tight. "Touch me, and I'll fight you to the death." At that moment, a figure lunged forward, Shao. He wrenched the rebar from her hands and pinned her down. "Well done, Shao." Guo Changxing nodded approvingly. Order meant nothing to him right now, only brute force. If they didn't survive the night, rules were worthless. Anyone who slays zombies gets women and unlimited supplies once dawn breaks. His words acted like a shot of adrenaline. The remaining men scanned the women in the crowd, sparking widespread panic among them. "Haha, better to die beneath a beauty than rot alone. I'll do it. Manager Guo, you'd better keep your word. If we live through tonight, I want second in command." Warehouses lacked windows, unlike ordinary buildings. To engage the zombies, they had to swing the main gate partially open. The moment the men pushed the door ajar, 7 or 8 zombies surged forward. Yang Fei stood at the front. Before he could react, a zombie's claw raked his flesh. A system alert blared inside his head. "Warning! Warning! You have sustained zombie damage. Viral infection spreading rapidly. Administer F-grade or higher anti-zombie serum immediately. We're done for. I got scratched. Help me." Yang Fei screamed, scrambling to retreat, only to meet Guo Changxing's size 44 boot slamming into his chest. Bang! Yang Fei went flying straight into the zombie horde. Every undead creature swarmed him, leaving a brief, empty stretch by the gate. "Charge! Now! Wipe them out!" Guo Changxing roared at the stunned men. Shaken out of their shock, the rest gritted their teeth and charged the horde at his urging. "You bastard, Guo Changxing, you damned monster!" Yang Fei's desperate, enraged screams echoed from the throng. He flailed wildly with his iron rod, trying to beat the zombies back, yet there were far too many. They dragged him under instantly. Every inch of his body burned in agony as flesh was torn raw, as if countless hot blades sliced through him without mercy. "Ah, help me. Hell." His voice faded to silence, then vanished entirely. While the zombies swarmed Yang Fei, the other men struck, hacking away with kitchen cleavers and axes. This night promised a blood-soaked, brutal battle. Shouts of combat, screams of agony, and endless wails never ceased. The fighting only died down as faint dawn lights spilled over the horizon. More than half the workshop survivors were dead, nearly all the men wiped out. Only Air Xiao remained, his body covered in deep zombie gashes. "Manager Gua, we won. I want cough." Air Xiao's words cut short as his stomach churned, triggering violent coughs. Dark red froth spilled from his lips. His wounds gaped raw and swollen, his strength completely drained from the all-night slaughter. A flicker of desperate hope lingered in his eyes. "Earn the right to claim it if you live long enough." Gua Changxing's gaze turned ice-cold, devoid of a shred of mercy. He drove his boot hard into Air Xiao's stomach. The frail man flew out the door like a broken kite. A heavy clang echoed as the thick warehouse iron gate slammed shut and locked, the click of the bolt shrill in the silent building. Air Xiao's furious shouts erupted outside at once. "Manager Gua, what are you doing? You promised me. You'll rot in hell." The surviving elders, women, and children inside paled, yet no one dared utter a word. They'd watched Gua Changxing hurl Yang Fei to the zombies minutes earlier, then abandon gravely wounded Air Xiao. No one wanted to share their fate. Gua Changxing drew a deep breath, malice swirling in his eyes. "Shenzhe, this is all your fault. I'll settle this score with you sooner or later." Day 3 of the Fortress Survival World. Shenzhe woke burning hot. He blinked groggily to see 2 blazing suns hanging high in the sky, his skin slick with sticky sweat from head to toe. Damned heat wave. He rubbed his bleary eyes and muttered to himself. He opened his system panel to check the time, past 9 o'clock. He'd slept a solid 10 hours straight. "I've been run rag these past 2 days." Ever since he'd transmigrated to this universal fortress survival world, he hadn't caught a single moment of rest, busier than when he'd worked food delivery. At least he finally had reliable means to defend himself now. He rolled his shoulders. The bite from the flying ant yesterday no longer ached. Most of the bruise faded away. He wondered if his drastically boosted base stats from transmigration had amplified his body's natural healing rate, or if another factor was at play. Either way, faster recovery was a blessing. An E-grade water purifier sat beside his bed. He glanced over to see roughly 3 liters of purified water collected in its reservoir. Gulp, gulp. Several mouthfuls of crisp E-grade purified water washed away his scorching thirst and heat exhaustion. He only set the container down after his stat panel notified him his hydration meter was slowly regenerating. "Ah, that hits the spot." He pulled up his full system interface and opened the regional chat channel. Region 11332 current survivors. 22,938/100,000. Holy crap, how'd so many people die? Only 20,000 left? Splendid Dragon Bay alone had several thousand permanent residents before the apocalypse. The entire region's population now barely matched 3 or 4 large residential complexes combined. 80% of all survivors had perished in just 2 days. Shenzhe recalled nearly half the population had still been alive yesterday. How had so many died overnight? Bullhead. Anyone else notice the zombie numbers spiking overnight? My fortress nearly collapsed from the horde. Cigarette Schwanha cigarettes. Tell me about it. Only a dozen zombies the first day, then 30 yesterday. This is a death sentence. Big orange priority. Killing zombies is just the bare minimum to survive. This sweltering heat's ruined all my food. It's all moldy. I haven't eaten a bite since last night. Any high-level players with spare food to spare a beggar? Scrolling through the endless stream of chat messages, Shenzhe finally grasped the full picture. He had held out firmly against last night's zombie siege entirely thanks to the blockhouse attached to his fortress. Ordinary survivors had no such advantages. While they would never encounter E-tier mutated zombies, even surges of regular undead could overwhelm anyone armed with nothing but kitchen cleavers and iron rods. On top of that, most households only stored limited food supplies. After 2 days, the majority of survivors had already run out of rations. Just then, a regional system-wide announcement popped up out of nowhere. Congratulations to survivor Handsome Cohen from Splendid Dragon Bay for successfully upgrading his fortress to level 2. Rewards have been issued. System notice. 14 hours and 12 minutes remain until the end of the newcomer protection period. Additional zones will unlock once it expires. All survivors are encouraged to keep pushing forward and raise their strength. How himself. Another big shot just leveled up. Absolute legend. Wild Savage Supreme. Sure, he's impressive, but he's nowhere near big shot Li Yunlong's league. Maruko loves fishing. No contest at all. Big shot Li Yunlong is the best of the best. Chunzhe smiled faintly. This Maruko character was quite amusing. He recalled seeing this ID shower him with praise in the chat channel more than once before. Messages kept scrolling nonstop in the regional chat. Hajimi's motor trooper. Is Brother Kun around? Judging by your username, we live in the same residential compound. If you take me in, I've got piles of materials I'll give you for free. Sunflower seeds must be sipped slow. Buddy, you're living in a fantasy world. Big shot Li Yunlong leveled up yesterday. Did you see him recruiting anyone? Top-tier powerhouses don't just take random strays that easily. Several more survivors chimed in to mock the man's naivety. Splendid Dragon Bay Handsome Kun. To help all my brothers survive, the Hung Hing Society officially forms today. Anyone who trusts me, Handsome Kun, may come seek refuge. My coordinates are 129,250. Look for the tall black dragon flag. If you're my brother, come find me. This single message blew the chat channel wide open. Chui the badass. Whoa, the big shot really came through. Brother Kun's on a whole different level. Way better than that Li Yunlong guy. 2-word Western, 1-word wild. Exactly. Look at Brother Kun. He just upgraded and immediately thought of us regular folks. Meanwhile, that Li Yunlong? I remember he sold single tomatoes for 400 survival coins yesterday, treating us all like fools to swindle. Li Shuai from Splendid Dragon Bay. People are divided by status. Li Yunlong only got lucky leveling up first. Once our Hung Hing Society grows powerful, he won't even be fit to polish Brother Kun's shoes. Chunzhe had only been scrolling the chat for entertainment, but his brows drew tight at these words. This Handsome Kun openly recruiting followers is one thing. Why drag my name through the mud to prop himself up? He chose not to fire back right away. After all, the society's leader hadn't personally insulted him yet. Rushing into an argument now would only make him look petty. He decided to wait and see exactly what schemes Handsome Kun was plotting. Sprite with MSG. For real, Brother Kun's got the bearing of a great leader. That Li Yunlong's just a nobody trash. Can't hold a candle to Kun. I'm joining Hung Hing. Fatty Supreme Boss. Cut your damn garbage. What did Big Shot Li Yunlong ever do to you to slander him like that? Don't let me catch you, or I'll feed you enough crap to last a lifetime. 2 Dog. Brothers, open your eyes wide. This reeks of those northern Myanmar organ trafficking scammers. Maruko loves fishing. Big Shot Li Yunlong only hasn't built a faction. Do you really have to tear into him over that? Don't forget all the valuable intel he shared with us earlier. Li Shuai from Splendid Dragon Bay. So what if he spilled a few scraps of info? We could have figured all that out on our own without him. Acting like tiny favors make him some hero. The regional channel devolved into total chaos. One camp sided with the Hung Hing Society and slandered Chunzhe relentlessly, while others who'd benefited from his tips or hated mudslinging rose to defend him. The two sides traded vicious barbs, messages flooding the screen faster than anyone could read. At last, the mastermind, Handsome Kun, stepped forward to speak. Splendid Dragon Bay Handsome Kun. Brothers, everyone. All people are not created equal. I don't know what Li Yunlong's mindset is. He clearly has the power to aid others, yet he only cares about saving his own skin, watching us suffer with cold indifference. I'm nothing like him. I'm a man of heart. I can't stand to watch people around me endure hardship, much less see our fellow survivors starve to death or get torn apart by zombies. That's why I've formally founded the Hung Hing Society today. To put it simply, as long as I draw breath, I'll protect you. My doors stand wide open for anyone willing to join. From now on, we'll band together for warmth and survive this alien world side by side. His words sounded heartfelt and sincere, carefully crafting an image of a righteous, benevolent leader. The channel erupted in unanimous agreement. Countless undecided survivors were swayed by his speech, declaring they would head for the marked black dragon flag without delay. Staring at the words on his screen, a cold smirk tugged at the corner of Chunzhe's mouth. Every line of Kun's speech reeked of hypocrisy. Under the pretense of nobility, he constantly drew comparisons with Chunzhe, boosting his own reputation and rallying followers by belittling him. All right then, Handsome Kun, you're quite the manipulative opponent. Zone 11332, coordinates 129,250. Li Qian Kun, the man everyone called Handsome Kun, lounged lazily back against a solid wooden armchair. His fortress was one of a kind, not an ordinary residential home, nor a randomly generated system fortress, but a large privately owned commercial vehicle garage on the city outskirts. Before the Survivor Fortress apocalypse descended, he'd built a career in construction, and this garage was a property he'd purchased years prior. The entire lot was enclosed and neatly partitioned, with an 8-meter ceiling split into underground, ground, and upper floors. It had originally been purpose-built to store and rotate all kinds of engineering machinery. Now, it served as his unshakable foothold in this brutal survival realm. At the garage's ground floor entrance, a tall black dragon flag stood rigid, fluttering faintly beneath the glare of twin suns. Across the spacious yard, more than a dozen excavators, bulldozers, and loaders lined up in a perfect straight row. Their cold, heavy steel hulls were stained with crusted black blood, the scars of last night's brutal battle against the zombie horde. Several underlings clustered nearby, constantly refreshing the regional chat channel, their faces blazing with excitement. Brother Cohen, more and more survivors are messaging us saying they're coming to join. Exactly, boss. Your plan worked flawlessly. Trashing the zone's top powerhouse instantly rallied everyone to our side. Half the chat channel's backing the Hung Hing Society now. At their words, Li Qianquan lazily lifted his eyelids, a smug grin spreading across his face. He set down the cigarette between his fingers, pulled the woman beside him close, and gave her pale thigh a rough squeeze. The girl jolted at his sudden advance, trembling slightly. Kei Kuan, don't. Her voice was soft, and it was obvious she was holding back. Yet her flustered tone only stoked Li Qianquan's amusement. Don't what? Don't toy with you? He leered and groped her even more crudely. After toying with her to his fill, he drawled slowly, dripping with contempt. He's just some random kid who popped up out of nowhere. Using him to establish our authority is doing him a favor. If he dares talk back or provoke us in the chat channel, I'll roll over to his place in a bulldozer, flatten his sorry self along with that rickety blockhouse of his, and scatter his ashes to the winds. His underlings roared with laughter and rushed to flatter him. Brother Kuan is unstoppable. With over a dozen heavy machines at our disposal, no one in this entire zone can stand against us. That Li Yunlong only got lucky. In a real fight, he's nothing next to heavy construction equipment. Word up. Li Qianquan exhaled a thick cloud of smoke, his gaze sweeping over the blood-splattered machinery. The confidence he'd gained from holding back the zombie tide with his engineering vehicles made him reckless and overconfident. Keep monitoring the chat channel and accept as many recruits as we can. He paused, turning to a burly man beside him. Eru, head down there to oversee recruitment personally. Keep all strong young men and pretty women. Strip every last supply from the rest, then dispose of them. And make sure you leave no loose ends. Eru stood nearly 1.9 meters tall, his arms thicker than most men's calves, rippling with intimidating muscle mass. He nodded sharply, answering in a gruff, booming voice. Leave it to me, Brother Kuan. You can trust my work. Li Qianquan gave a slight nod and continued. Also, send a squad of brothers out to scour the surroundings. Track down anyone holding gasoline or diesel, and bring every drop back here. Understood, Brother Kuan. I'll get on it right away. Back at Chunzei's blockhouse, he opened his private message inbox. Fatty Supreme Boss, Big Shot Li Yunlong. Have you seen the regional chat? It makes my blood boil. Those people are all out of their minds. Chunzei chuckled at the message. This fatty was truly an odd character. He'd holed up in a toilet shelter, yet spoke like a crude street tough. Li Yunlong from Magic City. I saw it. Quite the lively debate going on. Fatty Supreme Boss. Lively's an understatement. That handsome Kuan used you as a stepping stone to gather followers, and a horde of sheep jumped on the bandwagon to slander you. It's absolutely outrageous. Hey, boss, when are you going to start recruiting people? Just so you know, I'll be first in line to sign up. Chunzei mulled it over. Now that his fortress had expanded, relying solely on Wang Yalan and himself left them stretched far too thin. Recruiting trustworthy allies was inevitable, but trust was a rare commodity in the apocalypse. He had to guarantee no one inside his fortress harbored traitorous intent. Even the sturdiest stronghold would crumble from within if betrayal lurked among its inhabitants. With that thought, he pulled out a vassal scroll. After a moment's consideration, he sent its item description to the fatty. Li Yunlong from Magic City. Attached item screenshot. Li Yunlong from Magic City. I do need extra hands, but anyone who wants entry to my fortress must accept this contract. Are you willing? Fatty had only made the offer half-jogglingly, never daring to hope he'd be accepted into a top survivor's fortress. He was just a nobody hiding out in a filthy toilet shelter. Why would a powerhouse spare him a glance? But when Chunzei's message popped up, Fatty froze solid. He didn't even notice the compressed biscuit slipping from his hand and clattering onto the ground. Be Big Shot, you're really offering me a spot. He swallowed hard, his throat parched, fingers trembling as he tapped to open the clear item panel. Huh? What's this? A vassal scroll? Countless questions exploded in his mind. His breathing grew ragged, his heart hammering against his ribs as if it would burst straight out of his chest. He read every single word of the scroll's description line by line. Lifelong loyalty, cannot betray under any circumstances, grants a permanent 10 boost to all base attributes. In an instant, Fatty made up his mind. Damn, this is a chance to become the boss's loyal right-hand man. Only an idiot would turn this down. Fatty Supreme Boss. Big shot Li Yunlong. Brother Long. I'm in, 100% in. Shinzei hadn't expected such an immediate, unhesitating acceptance. This kid's sharp as a tack. Li Yunlong from Magic City. Think carefully. Once you bind yourself to the contract scroll, there's no going back if you regret it later. Fatty Supreme Boss. No regrets at all. Getting to follow Brother Long is the luckiest break of my life. Besides, I can't stand another day cooped up in that stinking toilet shelter. It reeks to high heaven. Li Yunlong from Magic City. At least you've got convenient restroom access there, though. Fatty Supreme Boss. Boss, can I back out now? Chunzei laughed, pricked his finger to draw blood and activate the scroll, then traded it to Fatty. Fatty repeated the same ritual. Once his blood touched the parchment, the scroll dissolved into wispy threads of binding law and vanished entirely. A system chime echoed in both their heads. Congratulations on successfully binding Survivor, Fatty Supreme Boss, as your vassal. You have unlocked Tier 2 authority, so mutual coordinates are now shared between you two. Coordinate sharing is exclusive to contracted parties. Coordinates cannot be altered or revoked. Chunzei had been worrying about how to track down Fatty once the contract sealed, but the system's built-in feature solved that problem seamlessly. The system really thought of everything. Relief washed over him as his earlier worries melted away. He stared at Fatty's marker on the map, his gaze sharpening. This direction was exactly where Guo Changzheng and his gang had fled the day before. Fatty Supreme Boss. Brother Long. This is insane. I just checked my attribute panel. All my base stats jumped up 3 whole points. Strength, agility, constitution each +3. Fatty Supreme Boss. Holy hell, if that's the boost I get, your 3 core stats must all be over 30 points. That's absurdly overpowered. Fatty Supreme Boss. Oh right, Brother Long. The shared map shows we're pretty far apart, roughly 10 kilometers. Should I head over right now? I'm waiting for your reply, super eager. Fatty Supreme Boss. Also, I've still got some compressed biscuits and 2 cans of fish stew left. My fortress does have a distinct odor, but I'll bring all supplies with me if you want them. A constant grin lingered on Chunzei's face as he scanned the flood of messages. The fatty was a total chatterbox, but he realized the blockhouse would be far livelier once the talkative recruit arrived. Li Yunlong from Magic City. It'll take me 2 or 3 hours to reach you. You haven't unlocked long-distance tracking yet, so stay put inside your shelter and wait for me. Fatty Supreme Boss. Got it. I'll pack up everything right away. Hurry over, Brother Long. Chunzei's eye twitched faintly at the reply. What on earth did the fatty even have to pack in that run-down toilet shelter of his? Closing the chat window, Chunzei pulled up his character attribute panel. Before heading out, there was one critical task left, leveling up to Tier 2. Ding. All upgrade prerequisites have been met. Confirm upgrade? Upgrade. The moment he hit confirm, a wave of warm energy flooded every inch of his body, followed by a faint pop. Like some invisible shackle deep within his bones had shattered. He couldn't feel any drastic shift in his physical condition, but the hard cap locking all his base stats at 20 points had vanished entirely, leaving his attributes free to rise further. Ding. Congratulations on advancing to level 2. Current stats Survivor. Chunzei level 2 strength. 20 plus 10 passive gradual growth ongoing agility. 20 plus 10 passive gradual growth ongoing constitution. 20 plus 10 passive gradual growth ongoing abilities. None unlocked rating. E-tier evaluation. A budding survivor who has gained reliable self-defense capabilities. Next level requirement. All base stats reach 50, plus 1 D-tier beast core of any variety. Ding. Congratulations on becoming the first survivor in the zone to reach level 2. Reward. Ability extraction, stone ×1. Sure enough, another zone-wide system announcement blared across every survivor's interface. The chat channel exploded with scrolling messages once more. Maruko loves fishing. Woo. Big shot Li Yunlong hit another zone-wide announcement. He's unstoppable. How inside how. Looks like handsome Cohen really can't hold a candle to Brother Long after all. Fatty Supreme Boss. Duh. My Brother Long's gotten 3 zone-wide announcements now. Cohen doesn't stand a chance. Li Shuai from Splendid Dragon Bay. Just dumb luck, nothing more. Single teen girl born after 2000. Brotherly Yunlong, do you need someone to keep your bed warm? Chunzhe paid no mind to the chaotic chat channel, nor did he care about the constant comparisons between himself and handsome Kun. In the apocalypse, raw strength was the only thing that mattered. Fame was often more trouble than it was worth. If Kun wanted to flaunt his power and draw all the heat onto himself, Chunzhe was perfectly fine letting him take center stage as the public target. Now then, let's check the system reward. Chunzhe refocused his attention on a milky white stone glowing with faint soft light inside his inventory. He tapped the item to pull out the Ability Extraction Stone. Item info, Ability Extraction Stone item description. Consume this stone to randomly unlock one unique ability. Now it makes sense. Chunzhe muttered to himself. He'd slaughtered hordes of zombies without unlocking a single ability all this time. This stone was the key to activating special powers. Without hesitation, he selected use. A massive golden roulette wheel materialized in his mind's eye, spinning slowly, countless glowing ability names swirling across its segments. Indestructible body, hyper sprint, life-saving decoy, instant teleport. Each ability title was concise, yet anyone who'd read a single web novel instantly grasped their devastating potential. Damn it, I want every single one. Chunzhe thought frantically. The wheel's spin slowed to a crawl, the pointer gliding slowly over a radiant golden segment. Absolute defense. Chunzhe clenched his fists instinctively, holding his breath in anticipation. That's the one, perfect. But fate had other plans. The giant wheel kept spinning on residual momentum, sliding clean past the absolute defense golden zone. No way, come on. Sweat beaded on Chunzhe's forehead as he helplessly watched the wheel continue to turn. The wheel ground to a halt over a purple segment. No heavy luminous aura, no surging energy ripples, only tiny pinpricks of starlight swirling within, as if an entire starry sky had been compressed into that single tile. Chunzhe's heart sank. Great, this segment looks useless. The system chime rang out the next second. Ding. Ability extraction complete. Congratulations on unlocking the new ability, Time Freeze. Ability name, Time Freeze. Ability description. Upon activation, time halts for 3 seconds within a 10-meter radius around the user. The caster remains unaffected by the time freeze and may move freely. Ability cooldown, 3 full days. Hiss, Chunzhe gasped sharply after reading the full description. Time freeze. Pause everything within 10 meters for 3 whole seconds? This ability's ridiculously overpowered. 3 seconds sounded brief on the surface, but as his base stats continued to climb, his movement speed would grow faster and faster. So much could be accomplished in that frozen window of time. Once he closed the gap to an enemy, their life or death would fall entirely under his control. He could land a fatal finishing blow within those 3 seconds, or slip away completely unharmed. With time freeze in his arsenal, Chunzhe now possessed a trump card to rely on in life or death fights. Haha, this is amazing. Wang Yalan turned to him curiously at the sound of his loud laughter. Mr. Chun, what's got you so cheerful? Haha, nothing much. The system just gave me an incredible treasure. Chunzhe's mood was soaring, grinning wide to show his teeth. An incredible treasure? Though burning with curiosity, Wang Yalan didn't press further. She understood if Chunzhe chose not to share something. He had his reasons. Congratulations sincerely, Mr. Chun. Ugh, why do you keep calling me Mr. Chun nonstop? Chunzhe waved a hand, softening his tone. Everyone inside this fortress is family now. If I don't tell you certain things, it's not that I distrust you, understand? Wang Yalan nodded half-comprehendingly. Yes, Mr. Chun. She cut herself off mid-sentence, remembering his earlier request. Si Chin Gu. That's much better. Chunzhe nodded in satisfaction and continued. More survivors will join the fortress eventually, and we don't keep idle hands. From now on, you'll oversee logistics and crop cultivation here. He gestured toward the F-tier planting crates lined up nearby. I'll transfer some survival coins to you. Buy high-grade crop seeds to plant in the crates. Also, I'm heading out shortly. Stay vigilant inside the blockhouse at all times. Send me an immediate private message the second any danger arises.